Welcome. A2DRadio.com. Birds of a Feather live from the BMW of Atlantic City Studios. BMW of AtlanticCity.com. First half of the show brought to you by Gibson Mayer, our LLC, our certified public accountants. Make them yours, GibsonMayer.com. Our Scanzano Sports poll question this week is, who is the second best quarterback in the NFC East? Now, we're assuming Carson Wentz would be number one. We're taking Carson out of the equation. Eli Manning, Dak Prescott, Alex Smith, Nick Foles. Maybe you like one of the backups. Who knows? You never know.
Kyle Aletta. No, I'm just kidding. Not even close.
Joining us on YouTube, Periscope, Facebook, all the good stuff. Paulie over here again from NBC Sports Philadelphia. Chrome, Ryan Brodo, the Bro Doe, over there on the ones and twos, killing it. The man who nicknames himself.
That's hashtag fake news. That's
Love
hashtag
it.
fake news.
That's true. It's true.
I wasn't here that
Run
week,
the tape
so I
back.
can't.
It happened. Charles obviously is not with us this week. I believe his fiance is finishing school, graduating, and they have a little festivity tonight, I believe.
Nice.
Congratulations.
So congratulations to Mary. We'll miss you, Chucks. We'll get Chucks back next week.
I miss him, but I kind of enjoy having all this space.
This space on the couch.
I'm not
that
gonna
he
lie.
takes up much space,
No,
though. He's
no,
like
he's
a compact.
a little fella, yeah.
He's
but-
like one of those little compact toys you get in the Happy Meal. You
Just
know?
so much room for activities. you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
exactly. I could just,
Little, yeah.
put my leg out there.
Do
No.
whatever you want.
But the good thing is a little less Donnell Pumphrey talk when Charles is
Yeah,
not
and
here,
we
so.
don't. I mean, as much as I love Brian Westbrook too, we don't have to hear that.
But we got Westbrook here in representation for him as always. So, guys, pretty easy. Before we get into it, actually, let's just remind people, because we're going to halt all conversation pretty much. We have the draft lottery on, the NBA draft lottery. We're going to be live reacting to that. I believe 8:13 we said the balls are supposed to start.
That's what ESPN tells us. Now, whether they
They're gonna be
come
dropping
true
the
with that,
results.
well, that's up for debate.
Yeah.
They're going to start dropping the results.
Yeah.
So we'll obviously have instant reaction to that. We're going to talk some Eagles. We're going to talk Sixers off-season. I know Paulie's got a lot to say regarding the draft and free agency, LeBron. So we'll have a lot to talk about. And you know what? We're finally going to get our baseball talk in this week because Charles isn't here and won't look like a deer in headlights. So he's learning, though. Every now and then he drops a little something in there like he knows something about baseball, and I like it. He picks up something every month.
He plays the part. You know
Yes,
what I mean?
Yes, that's it. You just got to look like you know what you're talking about. But NFC East quarterbacks, guys. Obviously, I think it's a resounding, overwhelming popular opinion that we think Carson is number one in the NFC East. Yeah. So
Yeah, that's tough to argue.
let's look beyond Carson now.
I'm sorry, but this shows you how bad the Pistons are as an organization right now.
Oh, they get the number one pick?
No, Luke Kennard is a representative. Like, dude, what?
Why?
Should have been their future head coach, Chauncey Billups.
Oh, man. I love that we got EB there.
Yes.
That's a great one.
Can we
I like
talk
that.
about the fact that Elton Brand
Yeah, that's
is our
great.
representative?
Yeah,
Because
that's
I
great.
absolutely love Elton Brand. I think Elton Brand did wonders as far as leadership on this team.
Absolutely.
Say what you want about the contractor that he ended up getting from Billy King and the way, maybe there was disappointment there with that. But from a leadership standpoint, from a guy who is a model veteran class act in the league, hands down, one of the best guys that we've had in town over the last probably 10 years.
Absolutely.
And I know we dropped it last week when it was the 10-win season, I believe. At the end of the season, Elton Brand hung up a congratulations to the team for having 10 wins.
Yeah.
That was to stick it to
Yeah,
them,
that's
to
what
get
he wanted.
them,
He
to get
wanted
them
it
going,
to
to
get up,
motivate
yeah.
them. And that's what leaders do, man. That's what great guys do. And I'm happy that he's there to be a representative of the organization. We already got Facebook chiming in.
Yep.
Tom Arnone already. Yo, it's Foles and it's easy. Frank Vespi, sorry to bother you at work. At this moment, it's got to be Foles. Only other quarterback I could see catching up to him is Alex Smith, but that's just me. Marcus Billups says Ajayi did nothing wrong. We will discuss that.
We said the same thing over on YouTube.
Nice.
That's
We are
great.
definitely going to talk about that. And he says Brandon Graham will be, or John Malmus says Brandon Graham will be missing time. We're going to touch on that as well. What do you got over on YouTube?
So we have David Roska chiming in way
up,
early.
Roska?
So he's been chilling. He says, "What's up, boys? I'm ready to see Celtics versus Rockets in the NBA Finals." I would agree with one of those teams, David. The other one, not so much. He says, and Vegas versus Washington in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Oh, here we go.
So what we got? There's a child on screen.
I think it's
okay. It's a replay.
yeah,
I was about to
it's,
say, wait, what?
That's a. What do you mean? That's a replay?
That's a 2013. They're replaying 2013.
Dude, I just had a freaking heart attack. I thought that was
I was like,
live.
wait, did they fast forward this? I was totally caught off guard on that.
For the people at home, I understand that they might be. I think they're probably ahead of us on this. So we just heard them say it's a replay, but we didn't. I didn't know that. I heard the TV say that means the Cleveland Cavaliers have the number 1 pick. My heart just almost dropped through the floor.
Yeah,
that would not have been good.
Yeah.
Khalid, it's funny, like the first couple names, we have some new names and we have some old names we haven't heard from a while. So Khalid chimes in saying fly equals fly. What's going on, Khalid? Foolish Demon said Jay Ajayi did nothing wrong. And then a new name, Noah Henkel, said, how's it going, fellas? Pretty good, Noah.
What's up, Noah? Welcome to the show, man. Definitely join the conversation. Marcus Billups says they're out to get us. First it was Bennett, then Worley, now Ajayi. First of all, Worley was never a part of us. So let's not include him. And it's pretty evident that he was a dummy. But Bennett and Ajayi, the jury's out on those. I can't disagree with that. He says this is fishy. He says go Knights go. Interesting. I'm rooting for the Vegas Knights. I'm not a big, huge hockey guy, outside of the Flyers. But I am definitely sorry to disappoint James Wilder, but I'm rooting for the Vegas Knights to go all the way and make history, sports history, by being the first-year expansion team to win a championship. They've already pretty much
nuts.
created history.
Oh, yeah, by getting to the Western Conference Finals, that's history enough, man.
Close it out. Oh, be great. Mike Parker, sup, guys? I'm watching the lottery, as are we. Mike Parker. James Wilder's watching the lottery as well. Marcus Billups says the lottery is rigged anyway. Only if we get the first overall pick is it rigged.
I was going to say only
Which
if
I
we
would
do
be
not, but that's me as a fan.
Well, that was us before. True. Now we're the team that's on the rise, and that is being marketed big time by the NBA. So for us to get a number 1 pick again would be pretty outrageous. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so who do you have for the second best quarterback in the division? I mean, there's again, we don't include Carson because Carson it's a clear drop off under Carson. So
it's probably gonna be an unpopular take, but I'm gonna say that I think it's Alex Smith. And listen, Nick Foles won a Super Bowl. He did a tremendous job for this football team. I take nothing away from Nick Foles, and I'd actually probably put Nick Foles at number 3. But Alex Smith last year was sensational. He had a very good year. He played all 16 games. He had an MVP caliber season. I mean, and he's going to a very quarterback-friendly offense. He has a very good offensive line. So I had to put Alex Smith at number 2 right now. Right now, I would say.
Right on.
I actually have to agree with you, Paulie. The fan in me wants to say Foles for obvious reasons, and I understand, the debate, and I've seen a lot when we threw out the question the other day on social media. The 2 big ones were obviously Foles and Alex Smith. There were a couple Eli's in there, but based on current scenarios, I really can't see how you can put him to. People were saying, oh, well, Alex Smith doesn't have a ring. True. My point is Alex Smith has played more than 5-6 games. That's my only.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree with that argument totally.
Like I understand, and trust me, I appreciate everything Foles has done. I've said that numerous times. I'll continue to say it. And I'm not ripping Nick Foles by any means, but Foles he did not play a full season. He's been all over the place as of recent years. And I honestly think he's the 3rd on the list. I think it goes Wentz, Smith, then Foles, to be completely honest with you. And I understand Foles, the games in which he did play meant more, especially the playoff and Super Bowl games. But for me, Alex Smith was arguably, he was an MVP candidate for a good part of the season. Yep. They didn't do anything in the playoffs, but listen, the sample size, he's played more games, so I would have him as 2.
Agreed.
Yeah, I guess we're going to run the table. I would put Alex Smith strictly for, I know the conversation, or you made the point, how many Super Bowls has he won? He hasn't won any, but he came off of a phenomenal season. We're talking right now. He came off of the best season and played essentially almost a full season he is the guy to me. And secondly, he's done it at a high level for another franchise as well.
Yep.
So he took, for all intents and purposes, he put them in a position to go to the Super Bowl to begin with before he got hurt and Kaepernick took his job. So I'm looking at him and I'm seeing that he's had success in 2 different organizations. He's coming off of probably his best season of his career.
Definitely, easily.
It's tough for me to I look at Dak, who had such a down year last year, and this year's gut check year for him to see what he has. What Dak is there? Is he the guy from the rookie year? Is he the guy from last year? Somebody in the middle? I think it's going to be somebody in the middle. Eli, unfortunately, at this point, Eli's on that downside. Not unfortunately, but you know what I'm saying.
Unfortunately for him.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, exactly, and for the Giants.
Yeah, so, I mean, Eli's on the downside. I think he's kind of out of the conversation at this point. And with Foles, again, we've only seen him do it here in a short dose, and I'm not knocking him because I think he's a much better quarterback than people gave him credit for, and he showed that in big spots. But there hasn't been enough of a sample package for me to sit here and definitively say Nick Foles is the second-best quarterback in this division. I would argue with you as well. I'm in agreement that I would put him over Dak probably, at least at this point, because Dak doesn't have much of a sample size either. So,
no. And his most recent sample size is not very good.
Not good.
I would put Eli above Dak. And that's not a Cowboy hate because I hate the Giants more than I hate the Cowboys most of the time. But then that goes back to I think they're close right now, to be completely honest with you. We have to also remember that Eli's team last season was garbage.
Sure.
So I don't give Eli passes much, but this one we have to remember. Offensive line, putrid.
Yeah.
Weapons, they were either not performing or hurt. Most of them hurt.
Yeah,
all
most
he had to
of
work
the
with
big
was,
guns were hurt.
Yes, the only guy he had to work with was Evan Ingram, who was a rookie.
Yeah.
That was a rookie tight end. He has no running game. He hasn't had one since since Barber. So, I mean, let's be completely honest with ourselves. So, Dak hasn't won a playoff game. He's had one where his rookie year where, hey, he's the next Tom Brady, but he has probably a future Hall of Famer in Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying since last year, too, it's weird with the Giants, which is why I know a lot of people kind of dump on the Giants coming into this season. They're almost the forgotten team. But I don't think that we got a fair gauge of what the Giants were last season because of so many major, major injuries. Now, again, we suffered a lot of the same fate, but we were better positioned as far as depth-wise to maintain success, obviously, in a certain level. And it looks like the draft lottery is getting ready to start.
Yeah, Mike Parker is giving live updates on here as well if you would like me to read them.
I would
actually,
like
yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
Oh, you got it?
All right, so we got the Denver. I'm going to enjoy it on here.
Yeah, me too.
We got the Denver Nuggets at 14. 13 belongs to
Clippers.
the Clippers.
That's their own, and they'll probably get Detroit's too. I think it's top 3 protected for the Blake Griffin trade, which is just such a horrible, horrible trade. Van Gundy. Oh, that's
Clippers
probably
got
the Detroit pick.
They got
yeah.
12.
Look at him. Oh, I'll take it.
Oh. Sucks to be you, Luke Kennard. Hornets.
Charlotte Hornets.
So Sixers top 10.
Wasn't
if it's
10,
not 2 or
wasn't
3.
10 their highest percentage? Am I wrong?
Yeah,
about that?
10's the highest percentage. There it is.
All right.
Number 10.
Number 10. Okay.
No surprise.
So we're safe.
Elton doesn't
So
look
we're
safe.
safe for the night.
Now, dumb question. Now, the Lakers pick, there's no other picks in play, correct, for us? Oh, there are.
Well, I mean, no, not for the lottery. No,
okay.
No. I was going to say, but as a part of that full trade, it's still the Sacramento pick could be in play next year.
Next year, okay.
I believe the deal with the Sacramento pick is it's only number 1 protected. So unless it's a number 1 overall pick, the Celtics get it.
Well, I know there's going to be people out there that are going to be disappointed because, the 1.1% chance that we could have gotten the number 1 pick didn't happen. But listen, the Celtics didn't get a pick. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't get screwed out of this here.
Yeah.
We all were pretty much certain or comfortable with getting 10. That's what we got, so that's fine.
And you're gonna get a pretty good player at number 10.
Yeah.
Let's keep that in perspective. Or it's a pretty good trade chip, getting a top 10 pick. Someone will take a top 10 pick off your hands for a player.
I think and I think more likely if you're going to trade that asset, this is a good year to do it because I don't think the draft is super deep to where, you're worrying about passing up on a can't miss prospect. So we'll see. I mean, I'm not ruling out LeBron and Kawhi showing up.
Oh, man.
Not ruling it out.
Well, so,
I know Mr. Brodo and Mr. Arnone have a different opinion of me than me with that. But
you guys don't want both?
They don't want to trade Dario in a deal.
I get it. I get it.
Here's my thing, right? I wouldn't trade – if it was just Leonard that we were getting in the offseason, I wouldn't trade Fultz Dario on a first-round pick. But if we get LeBron – and I can add Kawhi to that, and you got Embiid, Simmons,
we're
Kawhi.
Assuming the trade is this number 10 with Fultz and Sarge. That's what we're assuming.
Assuming so.
That's what we're assuming. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple different ways I look at it. If we're just looking at Kawhi Leonard, if I know he's going to sign an extension, I am much more likely to pull that trigger on that deal. But then I also worry about if LeBron comes here. So then who plays where? Are we playing Kawhi at the 2 and LeBron at the 3? Is that the thought? Or are we going to make LeBron play a small 4? And I don't know if he wants to do that. I don't know if I would want him to do that. So I don't know. I guess theoretically you could have Kawhi play the 2. It's not the worst thing in the world. He'll be able to defend him and LeBron are going to shut down any wings that you're going to find, so that's nice. Yep. And you put Simmons up there. It's a lot of size.
Yeah, and defensively, you can go by matchup. Who's got the favorable matchup?
Then at that point, you're literally switching off everything and not missing a beat. I don't know. Then I guess your question is who's your starting 4?
I don't care.
That's fair.
I don't care.
That's fair.
At this point, whoever. Start with Sean Holmes. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. Oh, no.
No, well, you're going to need him for depth because if you end up with those four.
Yo, I'd start Covington at the 4.
Oh, God.
At the 4.
So, yeah, who would be the 4?
He's 6'9".
Oh, we're back here. The Knicks get the 9.
Oh, the Knicks. I love the David Fizdale hire for whatever that's worth, but the Knicks just it's the best move they made in
now
a decade.
Now there's rumors that the LeBron's going to go there because he likes Fizdale.
I don't buy that.
There's Cleveland.
Cleveland's at 8. That's the Brooklyn pick, right? Yeah.
So that's great. I was worried. We were talking before the show, Chrome and I said if Cleveland somehow got the number 1 pick,
they're trading something to keep LeBron.
They're trading that for Kawhi.
Chicago at 7.
Yeah.
Sacramento is guaranteed a top 3 pick.
That's good. Hopefully he's really good and makes them a mid-pack team. This way they don't get this way they
so they can be relevant.
Yeah,
Orlando at 6.
Orlando at 6.
Memphis is going to get the number 1 pick.
Dallas.
Ooh, Dallas getting 5. That hurts. If you're
I was going to say that. I thought they were going to get.
That hurts.
The Hawks are now
Can
2.
we talk about how
the
old
Hawks are the
Michael
second
Finley looks right now?
Yo.
The Hawks are now
Michael
guaranteed
Finley
the top
was so
3.
Good though. I love Michael Finley.
I loved Michael Finley when he played too. I think we froze for a second there.
It was the Grizzlies got 4.
Grizzlies at 4. All right, so we're down to Sacramento.
Yo, Suns are going to get 1. It's rigged. Because you're going to put Ayton now with Booker. It's rigged. It's rigged.
Right.
Yo, that would if the Suns get 1 and they get DeAndre Ayton in the middle to play with Devin Booker and Josh Jackson. Oof. That's serious.
Now, maybe more ideally, if you sign Paul George and trade for Kawhi, that might be a little bit of a better fit lineup-wise.
Nah. Either way, you're still technically acquiring 2 small forwards. Not that I don't think Kawhi could handle the 2, but I just don't know.
Well, the thing with LeBron can play anywhere.
He can. No, absolutely. Could LeBron play a small 4? Absolutely, he could. But he's also going to be 34 years old, and does he want to do that? That's my question.
No, you're right.
Does he want to play a small 4?
Can I be completely honest with you? I say no. Listen, if Kawhi gets here, I'm not going to have a freaking panic attack and a tantrum because, the people that don't want LeBron. I'm saying the same. If people honestly, if LeBron comes here, and they've been saying all year, all month that, they don't want LeBron, are they really going to have a freaking temper tantrum? Same thing with Kawhi. Like, I don't think – I wouldn't aim for it just because – not based off of who's going to play the 4 and matchups and scenarios. No. It's based off of I really like Dario Saric, okay? I don't think he's scratched the surface whatsoever. I think he's going to even get better. He does everything. I mean, let's be completely real. And Fultz, I'm not happy with the way he is right now. But I know the ceiling in which he has. So it's all about getting him there. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, this year was a disaster. Complete disaster. But like Tom and you and I were saying earlier, Chrome, if LeBron comes here, one of these big-name free agents, the pressure's off of Markelle Fultz. He's an afterthought. Mm-hmm. It's all about LeBron, Simmons, and Embiid. Or Paul George, Simmons, and Embiid. Or Kawhi, Simmons, and Embiid. Or LeBron, Kawhi, Simmons, and Embiid.
The argument, though, there is, so if they sign LeBron, then the pressure is on the front office to build the best possible roster to win a championship right now with LeBron.
But with that, it's been proven the teams that LeBron goes to, it's not that much pressure because guys will play for less money to chase the ring with LeBron. So I actually think more so than with a Paul George, that puts them a little more in the driver's seat to be able to fill the roster with better quality players than they probably would have been able to.
No, what I'm saying
otherwise.
is, I guess what I'm saying that kind of in relation to a Kawhi Leonard deal. If LeBron really wants to play with Kawhi Leonard, or he really wants that, you know what I mean? If that's what let's say Paul George, they can't get Paul George. Paul George says, "Nah, I don't want to come to Philly. I'm going to LA. It's where I want to go. It's where I want to play." If Kawhi Leonard is your best option, either in free agency or a trade,
you get it done.
There's going to be Brian Colangelo's going to face pressure to get that done. So it's like it works. It works in all ways. I mean, you know what I mean? Like
that's where you get the people. The naysayers who say, LeBron's already putting his fingerprints on the team and he's tearing it apart and yada, yada. No, you put the best players around the best core that you have to win a championship now.
And Ryan, so I definitely agree with you on two things. One, Saric already is a very good NBA I'll say a good NBA player, a good NBA starting caliber player.
Yes.
And I do think he still is going to get better. His shot improved unbelievably from his rookie year to this year. This is probably going to be his best offseason because he's not playing in like 900 international tournaments in between, and he's going into the offseason healthy. So that's huge for him. So I think he's going to get better from that standpoint. I do still have faith in Fultz getting better. Oh, looks like we're going to have the top three here.
All right. We got the
come on.
A little buffer in action.
Number 3, Hawks.
Atlanta.
Why is Jamie Gertz? What is that all about? Is she on the Hawks?
I guess she
is
now. The Suns got the
told
pick.
you. Called it. Fixed.
Rigged.
It's rigged. DeAndre Ayton will be a Sun. Staying in Arizona.
Good Lord.
That kid's a beast.
To be honest with you guys, I really, listen, I don't think, I as soon as Colangelo and obviously Brett Brown came out and say, we might need to make some moves. Brett Brown basically said we need to make some moves. I feel like the entire fan base, then everything, the floodgates basically opened basically. And everyone's like, oh my God, we got to sign him. And everyone started playing NBA 2K. It's like this roster does not have to be that. And I'm seeing all over my timelines pictures of Kawhi and LeBron. And I saw one with Kawhi, LeBron, and Paul George in a uniform. And it's like, dude, I would love it. I would love it just because, oh, my God, the fact that could even happen, or just getting 2 of those guys, or 1, we don't need multiple guys here to come here. We don't need Paul George, Kawhi, and LeBron to all come here, and that's the only way we're a championship team. No, we need LeBron to come here. We're a championship team tomorrow.
Caliber team.
Yes. I mean, I'd argue that we're the favorites to win it to get to the finals, to be completely honest, in the conference.
So if they get it, see, I disagree. I think it has to still be the Boston might make it to the finals without literally their 2 best players. So now you're gonna bring this team that they have now, and you're gonna put Jason Tatum a year older, Jaylen Brown a year older, Terry Rozier and Marcus Smart are probably going to be gone.
But
you're going to replace that with Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward.
And
so, I mean, if you get LeBron, does it make you – yes, it makes you a championship caliber team, a team that could win the East. That would look like you and the Celtics are going on a head-on collision for the Eastern Conference. But if you're – I'll say that I agree with you on from this perspective. If they sign LeBron, I don't think they necessarily need to sign another star.
No.
But they damn well better go out and make this team.
Well, they better bring J.J. Redick back.
Yeah, of course.
You can't. I'm sorry, and people are going to kill me, and I don't care. You can't bring Marco Bellinelli back.
No, I agree with that.
He's a great shooter. He can't play defense. He was exposed in that Celtics series. He looked terrible.
Yeah.
I like Ilyasova. I probably don't bring Ilyasova back. I probably try to get Bolden to come overseas, and that would be a nice.
And there's been talks that he may be coming overseas.
That's what it sounds like. But so I would look at maybe look at like a Tyreek Evans who had a really good year in Memphis.
I like Tyreek.
He's an improved shooter. He can create his own shot. I don't know what he's going to command in the open market. If he's willing to be a bench player, that would be a tremendous sixth man.
You got to bring Tyreek, or you got to bring JJ back.
If you get LeBron, then I would agree that you would almost have to bring JJ back if you don't get Kawhi or Paul George.
Right. So I'm just going to read Dion's comment because it's a big one. Unless, do you have it right there? I was going to say if you wanted to read it.
You can read it, but
okay.
The one thing I just wanted to respond with first, for the people who sit here and talk about, well, we have this thing in place and we got to continue to build with that. Look at what Boston's done. Boston drafted well, made the right moves, has a young core in place, and then went out and got Kyrie Irving and went out and got
Gordon Hayward.
And
Al Horford, for that matter.
And Al Horford. And I know that two of those guys are out, but that's what I'm talking about, where we think that we're there. And we played them without those two guys. And let's be honest, we got shown the door pretty handily.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
5 games.
We could have won those games, but we didn't. We weren't able to close. They were. That's similar to the process that we have in a sense of build that young team, go out and get free agents. And I'm talking good, top-name max player free agents. That's what they did. So for the people who say, I don't want a LeBron or I don't want a Paul George, it's nonsense. Look at the team that just showed us the door. And guess what? Next year when those two guys come back, goddamn, it's going to be a hell of a ride to try to catch them. That's us chasing Golden State. We got to get past them before we get to Golden State.
I was just going to say that. To where we all talk, we're sitting here talking about the Celtics. Now, if we get past the Celtics, that's not a championship. We still have to play the Warriors.
Who have 4 stars.
If anybody thinks that, and I'm not trying to burst anybody's bubble. What we have is very special. But the process was put in place to get us to this point for when LeBron and Paul George are free agents. To bring 1 or 2 big-name guys, that is when the process completes. I know you're going to talk about that tomorrow night, so I don't want to get in deep into that when we think the process is complete. I was going to bring that up anyway. That's when the process, because I say that all the time. The process is complete when you go out and you get one of those guys. And now you are a legitimate title contender to go up against a Boston, go up against a Golden State. Until you make that happen, you are not, the process is incomplete or failed if it doesn't happen. Because you're never going to get past those guys with just Embiid and Simmons and Fultz. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen.
So Dion says if LeBron – first off, what's going on, Dion?
What's up, Dion? Welcome back, bro.
He says, if LeBron chooses to say the following, hey, I think I'm the missing piece that can help Philly get past Boston, and I'm playing alongside 2 future potential Hall of Famers, and I won't have to do all the work knowing my big man can score, I have a guy that can get to the basket and distribute the rock around, then hey, why not? I'd like to have LeBron for 2 years. Why not? Anybody saying they don't want LeBron is on some North Philadelphia crack.
Whoa, yeah, Dion. Actually, the smartest thing Dion said there too, 2 years. That's exactly what you want, because in 2 years, Ben Simmons is going to want an extension,
and that's what.
You can only have so many max deals.
And I believe that it's the perfect storm because LeBron at this stage in his career is doing that. He's signing 1-year, 2-year deals. So I think that is going to work for all parties. And I truly believe LeBron can come here, and I want him around Ben every day for these 2 years, helping Ben fine-tune those skills that are getting him to that next level. I do believe that LeBron wants to pass the torch to the next guy, and he's been very vocal that in his eyes,
Fresh Prince,
the next guy is Ben Simmons. But so let him sit in the gym with Ben every friggin' day and take jump shots and play one-on-one and teach him how to shoot over top of a defender.
So we have a ton of comments by Dez22, who's an Eagles fan. So
What's up, Dez?
I heard.
I'm assuming his name is actually Dez. I hope so.
I'd imagine so. If he named his YouTube channel after Dez Bryant and he's an Eagles fan, I don't know.
Doesn't matter now anyway.
No.
yeah.
He was telling us that we got number 10, and then as far as the pick, TTB Ballin says 10, Fultz, Dario for Kawhi. Done deal to me. He also says Kawhi is better than Dario. No idea what Markelle will be. And one more pick for a top 5 player in the league that fits our system perfectly. Des22 says, I don't want to trade Fultz or Dario.
I'm fine with Fultz.
Well, my thing is this. I get it. I get you guys don't want to. Like, I get it. Like, first of all, Dario's already proven it. He's like, and especially you don't win Game 4 without Dario.
Yeah.
And he was tremendous in Game 5 against Boston. They don't have a shot in the end of that game without Dario. So I get it. And with Fultz, he was the number 1 overall pick. He's 19 years old. Like, I still think he's going to, no matter what happens to him, I still think he's going to be he's going to be a very good to great basketball player. But to that point, what I think it was TP Ballin just said, Kawhi, we know exactly what Kawhi is. And he is just entering his prime. And we already know exactly what he is. And we're talking about championships. We're talking about competing right now. You put Kawhi in the lineup now, and you're a better team right now, ready to compete with these Boston Celtics right now.
Well, I'll go back to the one thing you had said, all right? And like I said, I'm fine with trading for Kawhi. I'm fine with it. I don't target. That's not the top of my list by any means, because I know for some that's at the top. I think for TTP that's at the top for him. I'm fine with it only under one scenario, the one you had said earlier. If he can guarantee you before he even signs on the dotted line that he's extending.
Right. No,
I agree.
With a team that's been all about the future, we're not doing rentals in year 3. We're not doing
You're right.
You're
totally
right. I
agree with that.
Totally agreed.
It's a fair point.
And if we're talking about where we rank, so LeBron's 1, and I say I'd rather just sign Paul George than make a trade for Kawhi.
I agree.
And if I'm being honest with you, as far as a pure player and where they are in their careers, I'd rather have Kawhi as the player. But if I don't have to give up any assets and I can just sign Paul George, I'm signing Paul George.
I'm with you on that, too.
So
that's the same ranking I have.
TTP and Des22 were going back and forth. Des was saying he didn't want to trade Dario or Fultz. Ballin said, and younger that will grow with us, unlike LeBron. He was saying Kawhi's basically an MVP candidate. And then he went on to say, I'm sorry, but I don't understand why people are not willing to give up a guy we've seen nothing from yet in Fultz, and a solid to good player in Dario, and another unknown 10th pick for a perennial superstar.
People fall in love with potential in this city. It's everywhere. Every sport that we're in, everybody falls in love with potential. But the actual physical sample size hasn't been great. I think Fultz is going to be fine. I think he'll work it out. It might take him longer than expected, but I think he'll be totally fine. But if I can bring a bona fide young guy, young superstar player, a top 5 to 10 player in this league who has already proven it is still young, and I can bring him in, I'm doing it. Now, Dario is going to have to be included. I guarantee it.
Spurs are going to want him.
He is the absolute perfect – he is the epitome of a San Antonio Spurs, Greg Popovich type of player. So you can absolutely bank on it that if they make a move for Kawhi, he's probably going to be the coveted piece of that deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fultz would be a throw-in. He's a bonus.
I wouldn't say a throw-in, but –
But in terms of what you covet in those deals, he's going to be the prize piece for them. Anything they get from Fultz is a bonus to me, as opposed to what they're looking for with a guy like Sarge. So I'm looking at and then whatever the 10 pick. The 10 is probably more the throw in.
Can I throw a scenario in here, and I just thought of this, okay? Because it seems like, and these are things that we created, so it's not idiotic, but we've kind of settled on, okay, to get Kawhi, we've come up with a scenario. We've ran with it. It's basically Dario, Fultz, and a pick. Who says that needs to be it, okay? Say, for example, because I'd certainly hope, as much as we're saying, oh, Fultz, we don't know what he is, I'm certainly hoping the 76ers aren't giving up on Fultz. I doubt they are.
No, I don't think so.
So, can I throw a scenario, and like I said, I just came up with it, to where it's a Dario, it's a pick, and then it's like 3 other guys, maybe a Bayless, a McConnell, a Covington. You know what I mean? Like, to fit.
I don't know that those guys are enough that
Yeah.
Fultz is still an asset because he's such a young guy who's an first overall pick, and because the ceiling's so high. McConnell is what he is. People know he's a hard-nosed type of player, but he's not going to be – in terms of the Spurs, especially an aging team, he's going to be a guy who they can add to that core to build around.
Yeah.
Well,
And they're
who's running their
pretty-
point
Well, I was
right
going
now?
to say, what's funny about
Yeah.
people talk, so with Fultz, if they're acquiring Fultz, they think he's an off guard because they already have Patty Mills, who they
Right.
just signed to an extension,
Right.
and they have DeJounte Murray, who they just drafted a couple years ago, who they really like. So you already have 2 point guards that you're playing. Like, you know what I mean? So if you're bringing Fultz into that mix, you're expecting him to be able to play off guard. So to your point, Ryan, maybe the Spurs aren't interested in Markelle Fultz. Maybe that's not that. Maybe they'd rather have something else. Maybe they'd rather have maybe they'd rather have the pick number 10 and then your first next year. Maybe I don't know.
like I said, I'm not. This is not a
that's not that
shot
valuable.
at Fultz. I personally think, as much as we talk about, oh, he's the number 1 pick, former number 1 pick, that's not what gets the deal done. I think the 2 things that get the deal done first, and the thing that are most important to San Antonio, is Dario and that pick, because they can do whatever they want with it.
And we talked about expiring contracts, too, which maybe could be something that would intrigue them.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking
Bayless.
about Bayless,
Yeah.
but then the money's got to match, so that gets a little more complicated. I don't know what the salaries would be. Dario doesn't make that much.
Would Covington even fit there?
Yeah, he plays
why I
defense
threw-
and he shoots
Yeah.
threes. So I mean, that's and maybe I mean, let's be real too. If we're gonna, I mean, if anyone can get the most out of him, it's gonna be Popovich. I mean, I don't know.
The GOAT.
Stuff we'll talk about a lot for the next. Well, when's the draft?
I don't even know. Off the top of
25th?
my head.
June
Yeah.
25th.
Yeah, it's right before free agency.
Free agency is the 30th.
Yeah.
We'll get more into Sixers talk. I'm going to reel it back in a little bit here. Get us back to the topic at hand, which was the Eagles, because we did have a lot of comments on
Is
that.
this an Eagles show? Is that
Is this?
what is this? What are we talking
Is this
about?
basketballs of a valley? Marcus Billups earlier, he said, I'll say Alex Smith, Nick Foles, Mike White, I think he means.
Mike White
Yeah,
from the
yeah,
Cowboys.
Cooper Rush,
That's
Nate Sudfeld, undrafted free agent Redskins quarterback, and Dak Prescott. I like it, buddy.
That's funny.
And he said, oh, yeah, throw Eli in after Mike White.
So I'll ask you this question.
And he said Dak is a complimentary quarterback, not a star like they want him to be. I think Dak is a 15 to 20 quarterback in the league. I think he's above average, but I don't think he's
I'd say he's about average, if I'm being honest.
yeah.
out of those 4 guys, okay, who would you say is the most overrated and the most underrated?
Dak Prescott's the most overrated. And Alex, I would say, I don't
I'd
know.
say still Nick Foles because no one wanted to
Yeah.
trade for the damn dude
Yeah,
after he
I-
won a Super Bowl.
That's why I started thinking. I'm like, it
Yeah,
surprises
no one-
me
no
that
one was
people would
giving
rather
off-
give,
Yeah.
you know, it surprises me that the Cardinals would have rather spent $30 million on shit quarterbacks.
And now Josh Rosen's going to wind up stealing that damn job anyway. So, it doesn't
So they're
matter.
going to have $30 million tied up in quarterbacks sitting on the bench, more than likely. Or in the trainer's room.
Yeah.
Got to watch out with Rosen, though. He's another guy who's got an injury history.
That's all right. He's still going to take that job.
Oh, I don't doubt that.
And he's just better.
Let's see. I'm trying to get back to some of these. Dion said, poll question, Wentz he has his number 1. After that, he has Smith, Eli, Dakota, is what he calls Dak.
It's Dave Dakota.
Oh, is it really?
That's his
I
full
never
name.
knew that.
Yeah, Dakota. You guys didn't know that? Yeah.
I never
That's
knew
a
that.
thing.
He says
No?
Eli's
You
third
know, yeah,
because he's
yeah.
on the backside of his career. Last season he had no blocking. And he puts in parentheses, good. And he lost his top weapon pretty early. Good. LOL. But there's no doubt Carson is the best quarterback in the division as of today. We agree 1,000% on that, Dion. That's why he's not even an option here.
All right, well, let's expand it now, okay? We talk about the most underrated and overrated in the NFC East. How about in the NFC? Most overrated and underrated. And then the next one will be AFC
tough.
and then NFL.
It's tough. I still put Dak as the most overrated.
I really got to think about this. I'm sorry.
Let me see here.
Oh, boy.
I'll pull up all the teams.
I would have said Kirk Cousins, but they gave him a pretty damn nice contract. So
Well, that's the only reason why he might be overrated is because he doesn't – I don't know if he's earned that contract quite yet.
Want me to do this? I can go through each team and we can say, do we think that quarterback is closer to being overrated or underrated?
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Because it's tough because there's so many quarterbacks in a conference.
Yeah, because even I'm thinking, like, I wouldn't say any of the quarterbacks in the South I wouldn't say are under or overrated.
Maybe
Jameis.
I love him, but
Jameis.
Oh,
yeah. But I don't think – I think people have soured on him anyway. I don't think he's overrated at this point.
I don't know that I agree, but I could see the argument for Matt Ryan a little bit.
Yeah, I don't agree, but I guess. I don't know.
Your exact tone that you just said, yeah, that's kind of how I felt about it, but
guy won the MVP.
Yeah, I was going to say
ago,
we can't
it's
do
a
that.
I know
hard
it's
to
tough.
say he's underrated or overrated.
He does struggle in the big ones, though.
All right, so here we
He
go.
doesn't get it done.
So we'll start in the NFC East, and we'll just say over closer. And people at home, you can play as along as well. Basically,
let's not go by let's go by where they're at now. How they're viewed now, because people are probably going to immediately say, and I'm still going to say he is, but Eli's overrated because he's Eli and he's a giant and he's whatever. We understand his career and he probably overachieved a lot of his career, but let's look at it from where they're at in their career now and how they're viewed as affecting the team. Just want to put that out there.
So
if I answer something about somebody who maybe was overrated before, but I think they're underrated at this point, maybe someone they think he's shitty,
You're putting out a lot of a lot of exceptions here.
I'm just giving you guys.
a lot of scenarios, huh?
Yeah.
So
in case I have a hot take, guys, I'm just giving you my view.
Dak Prescott, overrated or underrated?
Overrated.
Closer to over, yeah.
Over. Eli Manning. Let's get this over with.
I'm gonna say he's overrated.
Yeah, I would have to say over.
Alex Smith.
Under, and I don't even like Alex Smith that much.
This
show has forced me to compliment Alex Smith more than I ever
know,
wanted
it's crazy.
to.
Can I make the argument that Eli?
I'll fix that.
Can I make this small argument that Eli's underrated just for the simple fact that the way he was treated at the end of the season last year was not fitting of where he's at?
That's fair.
That's the only reason I would say that. I know Ryan's shaking his head.
You know why? Because what have we been hearing all offseason at the end of that?
This is why I'm going by scenarios now.
And at the end of last season, it was, the Giants can't piss off Eli. Oh, what will Eli think? No, Eli Manning is an aging quarterback. It's past his time. He cannot win a championship anymore. Therefore, it's a business you move on.
You move on to Geno Smith.
No, I understand that.
That's the
not
argument I'm making.
That's not an argument. That's just silliness by them. No, the argument was, you move on to the kid that you drafted third round.
But they didn't do that.
Exactly. But that's my point. But before that, for the 6 weeks before that, they should have taken Eli Manning out to see exactly what that third-round pick was, especially when they knew they were going to be in a situation to possibly take a number 1 or number 2 or number 3 pick in this year's draft that could have been a quarterback instead of a running back. You take Eli Manning out because you know you don't have another 5 years with him. Maybe not another 2 years with him. So I think overrated for that sense.
I get what you're saying. I'm going strictly by how the actual events went down. For that, I give him last season underrated. This season overrated. He shouldn't be starting. For them, anyway. If he was on a better team that needs a veteran quarterback, I would.
Nick Foles.
I would say underrated, definitely.
Underrated right now, yeah.
Now we go to the other division. So we'll go to the NFC West. Russell Wilson.
appropriately
rated?
Yeah,
that's
I would say he's underrated.
I don't know. I mean,
I think he's appropriately rated.
Yeah, I don't think he's under or over analyzed at all. I like where he's at. I think he gets the praise that he should.
I think people rip him at the beginning of the season because he's like, oh, Russell gets off to those, stereotypical slow starts when you have nothing to work with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He literally runs circles around.
It's a
these
fair
people.
point. I agree with that.
Cardinals, I guess we can go with Sam Bradford.
We're going strictly off his career earnings, severely overrated.
I don't even need to answer that question.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Jared Goff. This is interesting. One disaster, one great season.
Again, I feel like it's appropriate. Like, I feel like no one's putting him as far as, like, I haven't heard anybody, like, regarding him saying, like, oh, he's a top 10 quarterback and yada. I haven't really heard anybody saying that. I think everyone's kind of in the boat, like, oh, he was much better last season, and you know what I mean. I think it's a big season for him. It's a pivotal year, but I don't know.
I'm more leaning towards you, but just to answer it, I'm gonna go underrated just because I think he made more strides than even I hear people give him credit for last season.
That's fair.
And with that, I think he's going to continue to do so. And not that he is a Carson Wentz, but I think he is earning his spot quickly to be considered one of the young, elite rising quarterbacks. So I'm going to go underrated just because of that.
You ready for an argument here?
Mitch Trubisky.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh, God. Underrated.
Severely, desperately underrated.
Underrated.
Don't you dare, Brodo. Don't
Should we just move on?
you dare.
Can I make the – listen, if I had
Tom
to go
Arnold's
one way
listening now, we may need a new producer for Tuesday nights if he shits on Jimmy GQ.
I'm not –
This is
no,
not-
I'm not ripping him.
Ryan, I'm going to stand up. You don't know, I'm gonna
Can I just
stand
say
up.
this one thing?
All right.
He played 5 games.
Last year, he also did play games with the Patriots before that, too.
He played 7 games.
And he played pretty phenomenally in all those games.
This is not at him, but just because he won 5 games does not make them a dark horse Super Bowl pick.
Well, okay.
That's all I'm saying.
All we're talking about is Jimmy G, though. We're not talking about the 49ers.
But why are they the Super Bowl dark horse in some people's
Because
eyes?
people are insane.
Yeah. But what is their reasoning? Listen, I'm
It's
calling
the
the
whole team, though. Because people do really like their defense. People are high in their defense, and they like some of the pieces they have there. So, I mean, it's not just that. They made moves along their offensive line. I mean, it's
Aaron Rodgers. That's appropriate.
appropriate. He's a monster here.
Matthew Stafford.
I say underrated.
I think he's overrated.
I think he's underrated.
I think he's had a lot of
I think
weapons
he's
over his
underrated.
career and has never been able to get them over to that.
Yeah, who was his last running back that he's had that was good?
Yeah, I agree with
But
that.
they're
They've
not
never had a running back his entire time he's been there. They've never had one. I'm
That's
just
because they
saying.
draft like 900 wide receivers all the time.
Yeah, but like
sign
right
them.
now, who's their homegrown receiver right now?
Well,
They
we're
had to go
talk-
out and sign Golden Tate. They have Kenny Galladay, who was nice last year. He's a nice player, but he's not like a star. They whiffed on 2 tight ends really badly.
Yeah, they did.
I'm just saying. I don't think he's been set up to succeed necessarily. And that organization is notoriously not great.
Kirk Cousins.
Closer to overrated than underrated, I would say.
Contract-wise, I
Yeah.
could see the overrated. I'm still going to say underrated because I think he's a very good quarterback, and I think he's going to show how good he really is this year.
Mitchell, and I mean Mitchell Trubisky.
I feel like no one. I don't think he's rated by anybody. Like, I don't
Yeah,
think. I don't
like,
think.
I'm
no,
trying
but
to
like,
think of like what the
yeah,
perception of
like
him
I don't think
is.
there's any like hot takes. I haven't seen any hot takes out there of like someone like saying he's the next Wentz or anything like that. Like
I was going to say if I had to pick one, it would be overrated based on where he was picked in the draft.
That's
but
a
that was
fair
a
point.
year. I mean, it's fair, but that was a year ago too. Like I don't know. I feel like
I mean,
I think everybody's kind of on the same page with him. Where it's
Yeah,
let's see.
I'm going to say appropriately rated. If anything, I would maybe just lean underrated because nobody talks about him at all. And I think
Yeah.
he does a little. I think he should get a little more credit. than
I'm
that.
really
That's true.
intrigued to watch Chicago this year. Like
Me too.
I'm not saying they're going to be a contender or anything, but I'm very. I like
I think
what
they're
they
going to
did
make
this offseason,
strides
and
this
I'm
year,
curious.
though. Yep.
To your point, people talk about Patrick Mahomes more than they talk about Trubisky.
And maybe that's fair, but we don't know.
I
Like,
don't
We don't know it.
Yeah.
Like Mahomes has more weapons on that team. Now they've actually given Trubisky some toys to play with. Now is where we get to see what he is,
Let's see
or
here.
at least flashes of it.
So I'm going to catch up on the YouTube comments before we switch conferences
let me
here.
run down to Facebook as well.
Sixers JT chimes in saying, "What's going on, guys? What's going on, JT?"
What up?
Number 10 man, and he says Sixers got the 10th pick. We need a wing player, a lengthy shooting guard, or a small forward.
Well, you just described Mikal Bridges.
And he says Mikal Bridges would be huge.
There it is.
TTB Ballin said Russell is a god. Talking about Wilson, I'd certainly hope not Westbrook. He says Goff is neither. Garoppolo underrated. Jimmy G underrated.
Yeah. Wait, who is that?
TTP Ballin.
TTP Ball, my boy. Yeah.
This is the Jimmy GQ fan club.
Foolish
Yeah,
Demon says
We're
Jimmy
actually
G.
going to change the name of the show to the Jimmy GQs.
Foolish Demon said he is a gorgeous man.
Yes, he is.
Um,
On and off the field.
No shame.
Sixers JT says he went undefeated for San Fran and has the highest contract in NFL history. He needs to prove himself.
I don't necessarily disagree. Listen, here's the thing about quarterback contracts, okay? It's
the market.
It's the market. And, of course, he was going to get paid a shit ton of money because he's young, coming off his rookie contract, and they just acquired him for a second round pick. Of course it was going to cost them a lot of money. Like, it was.
How many times do we talk about the highest paid player is not the best player
Exactly.
in the position?
Dude, Joe Flacco.
Almost never.
Joe Flacco is a perfect example of that. It was the perfect storm of him winning a Super Bowl, corresponding with his free agent year, and he's a quarterback. So it was a perfect shitstorm, and now the Ravens are still paying for it.
Yep.
Very true. Let me see. You got anything over on Facebook, sir?
Yeah. Mike Parker, 10 is a good pick to leverage for a trade. It's high enough.
Yeah, it's high enough. Top 10.
Marcus Billups, you're not getting Kawhi and LeBron. It's one or the other or neither. Dion says,
How do you figure? I think that's far from an impossibility.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's like a definite, but it's possible.
No, it was throwing out scenarios in there.
Yeah,
which
it's possible.
It's a plausible scenario. It can
Absolutely.
happen. Dion Brown, I missed the lottery, so I take it the Sixers had the 10th pick.
Yes, sir.
Just by judging and reading the comments. If that's the case, what the hell do we do? I think they trade it. I don't. Maybe.
If they stay there, Mikal Bridges would be a really good fit. You can bring him off the bench. He can hit a shot. Can cover literally 1 through 4. The other guy that would actually be Miles Bridges from Michigan State, who is a super athletic freak, really streaky shooter. My fear is with Miles Bridges, he's either going to be really good or he's going to be Justin Anderson. I don't think there's an in between.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And he's even a lefty. So
Oh no.
no, but he's got that. I'm not saying I think he's more talented than Justin Anderson was coming out of Virginia, but the same kind of thing where like he's a big physical defender, really athletic kid who shot well in college. Actually, Miles didn't shoot. Actually, Justin shot the lights out in college. If you guys didn't know that, Justin Anderson was a phenomenal shooter in Virginia, and he just hasn't quite translated that to the NBA. But Miles Bridges would be another guy that you have to consider. I also wonder if Michael Porter, if he falls, if anyone doesn't know who Michael Porter is, he was like the top recruit in the country this past year. The people thought he was going to be the number 1 pick before the season started. Had a slipped disc, I believe, in his back, so he had surgery, missed most of the season, only played in 3 games. People think he's going to slide to like the 8 or 9 range. If some team at 8 or 9 gets a little scared off by the medicals and he drops to 10, why the hell not? He can score off the dribble. He's a scorer. At 6'9", 215, he's a wing scorer. So, I mean, that's a great fit for this team. And you don't have to play him. You don't have to play him like big minutes right away. You can kind of let him fill into a role, again, as a off-the-bench kind of player.
Marcus Billups says Finley was gangster.
Yeah,
going back to when we were talking about Michael Finley.
Are we talking about his play or his suit? I would agree with both.
Well, he looked pimp in the suit, but I'm assuming he's talking about his player. He was a gangster. I was a big Michael Finley fan.
So was I.
Man, when I was playing NBA 2K on my Dreamcast,
Hell yeah.
I always traded Michael Finley to
Hell
the
yeah.
Sixers all the time.
It wasn't NBA 2K then, man. It was NBA Live when Michael Finley was playing.
Nah, it was 2K.
Nah, dude.
The first game they had I own that shit still. It's 2K. It was the
I
first
don't know,
2K
man.
games, but Allen Iverson on the cover. 2K,
All right.
2K1.
All right, but that was Michael Finley at the end.
Nah, he played it.
Prime, man. It was NBA Live.
Man.
Yeah, this guy, you don't know.
I probably wasn't born yet.
Yeah.
I only know the original Xbox.
What
That's all
year were you born?
96.
Oh
Yeah, I'm talking like NBA Live '96. This is when I was playing on my.
So I was right.
the original PlayStation playing NBA Live.
I got NBA Live '95 still on my original PlayStation. Damn.
It's another world. I just don't know it yet.
Dennis Rodman with his purple hair in the game.
Oh, dude, so good.
Mike Parker, he says, can the Sixers get the dude from Real Madrid at 10? Hawks 3, Kings 2, Suns 1, Josh Booker, Aton.
Real Madrid.
I want Doncic
a soccer player?
Nah, I mean, there's a basketball team in Real Madrid too. Or is he talking about Doncic? Because Doncic.
Yeah, no, he
says I want Doncic on the Sixers.
He's gonna go number 2.
Yeah, he's probably gonna go pretty.
He's going.
Deion's. That's that comment you read earlier with Deion.
Oh yeah,
with the North Philadelphia crack.
Foolish Demon was a big fan, by the way, of NBA Live. He said it was huge from 2005 to 2009.
Craig says, I thought this was birds of a feather, Greg Malakovic. Sixers talk, baby. We talk about whatever
it's a lottery, man. Come on.
We talk about whatever the fam wants to talk about.
Hey, Greg, the Eagles might be playing over in Cali, but they're not playing right now. They're not playing right now.
He says, Eli's the second best quarterback in the division. Why not trade Fultz? Because you don't know what he is. Let him be someone else's problem.
Apparently, LeBron's taking over Game 2, according to the chat.
Well, shock.
I do agree with him in a sense that if you can get a bona fide, proven, and young asset in their prime, I'm going to go ahead and trade Fultz.
Yeah, it's the proven versus young. And again, there's no one who's been a bigger defender of Markelle Fultz than me. But if you can get a proven asset. Again, that brings you closer to being a championship team right now, and I got to do it.
And by no means is that a sign if the Sixers do, say, deal him in a Kawhi deal or elsewhere, it's not a sign that they're giving up on the kid.
It's the opposite.
It's a sign
of – It's the opposite. You're giving something up to get something.
They're showing, yes, he's a valuable asset, and they were able to acquire what they need more so at this time.
LeBron is 19 in the first quarter.
Nice.
And people don't want him?
He hit 4 or 6 threes already. Oh, my God. I'm just looking at everyone else's stats in the starting lineup. LeBron's got 19. Kevin Love, 2. Tristan Thompson, 2. George Hill, 2. J.R. Smith, 0.
I was going to jokingly say, what does everyone else have, 2?
Yeah, literally. And
literally.
Two and none.
Deion said overrated in our conference. 1, Dakota Bradford. 2, Goff. I disagree with Goff, buddy.
Yeah,
3, Winston. 4, Cousins. I disagree with Cousins. He doesn't have anybody for 5. I'm assuming it was supposed to be Russell Wilson.
Overrated?
That's what he has.
Oh, I can't. In the words of the great Hall & Oates, I can't go for that.
Yeah.
Who said that?
Deion,
no.
Deion,
no.
Deion.
No, Deion, no.
But he does reprieve himself a little bit by saying NBA Jam. You can't mention those games without saying
NBA Jam. I mean, that's – please.
Is it the shoes?
Yo, dude. NBA Jam.
I know that one.
Do you remember the original version with Clarence Weatherspoon and Scott Skiles on the Sixers?
They were so bad.
They were really bad.
It made me so sad because you couldn't be the Sixers.
I always played with the Orlando Magic. I think in that game.
That makes sense. Shaq and Penny. I was a big fan of.
Shaq and Penny weren't in that one. They were in the second version. Yeah, we got a storm brewing outside.
There's a storm coming.
I was you know what? Oh, my team was the Sonics, man. It was Peyton and Kemp.
Oh, yeah, they were good, too. And Olajuwon and Drexler.
Oh, Olajuwon and Drexler was great.
Brian Eckert says, who would you rather see in Philly next year, LeBron or Bryce? Great question.
Ooh, that is a really great question.
Because we're up against it.
Yeah, we're up against
it. That's a great question.
Eckert, join us on YouTube.
The link's
in the caption. And everybody there.
The
link is in the caption. We're going to lead the second half of the show with that. And we're going to talk baseball anyway, so that would be great.
And I'll ask you, I'll finish we'll go into the AFC for the quarterback rankings as well.
With that, I want all the people who are haters of both, you have to make a decision. I want to hear if you have to take one, who would you take and why? So we're going to take our break now. Thank you if you joined us on Periscope and you joined us on Facebook. You guys rocked it again, obviously, in the comment section, as well as YouTube, who we're going to continue with you guys on the other half. Make the jump. Link up in the caption to get to YouTube. First half of the show brought to you again by Gibson Mayer. So thank you, Gibson Mayer, for sponsoring us. Live from the BMW of Atlantic City Studios, bmwofatlanticcity.com. This is Birds of a Feather on A2D Radio. We'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to Birds of a Feather on A2D Radio, live from the BMW of Atlantic City Studios, BMW of AtlanticCity.com. Second half brought to you by StreamSmart, StreamSmart.com. Our Scanzano Sports poll question this week, excluding Carson Wentz, who is the number 2 quarterback in the division? Dak Prescott, Eli Manning, Alex Smith, or Nick Foles? It's not Birds of a Feather without an 80s hairband lead in at some point, guys.
Oh, man.
Dynamite choice there, Ryan.
Thank you.
Chrome back with Paulie, Ryan Brodo, the Brodo, over on the 1s and 2s. We had a very interesting question that we are going to definitely touch on. We're going to continue the second half. We're going to go down this, we're going to do the AFC now, right?
Correct.
We're going to go over the quarterbacks. We're going to see who's overrated, underrated at this point. And, we're gonna lead off with that.
So anybody that's just joining us, basically in the first segment, we talked about overrated and underrated quarterbacks. So we went through the entire NFC conference, and we went through each quarterback, and we said, if you had to say whether he's overrated or underrated, which one would he be? We're going to do the same for the AFC. So feel free to play along on the chat as well. We'll read your comments as well.
Yeah.
So let's start off with the quarterback. I think we all know what this answer is, so let's start off with an easy one. Tom Brady. Do I even need to answer that question?
No. We'll bypass Tom Brady.
Yes.
He gets a pass.
So then the Dolphins come up. So I guess we will go with Ryan Tannehill, which is tough.
See,
this is really tough.
This is tough for me because I still believe that Tannehill is a good quarterback. He really has. The Dolphins, I hate them so much. Everybody knows that I grew up a Dolphins fan because I love Marino, so they're still kind of my AFC team, but they're rough to follow. And I like Tannehill. I thought they finally found their quarterback.
He just can't stay healthy.
He's been hurt a lot.
Yeah.
That team has underachieved a lot. I don't necessarily put the blame on him for a lot of their underachievement, even when he was healthy. It's a tough one for me. You guys give yours, and maybe you'll sway me one way or the other.
You know, to your point, I'm actually going to say I think he's a little underrated because I think he can play. I just think he can't stay healthy.
Yeah.
So anyone who says, like, oh, Ryan Tannehill stinks, I think that's ignorant. Like, that's a dumb thing to say. Like, he doesn't stink. He just can't stay healthy. I think he can play a little bit.
I mean, my concern is almost like he's in that conversation with a Sam Bradford. The skill set's there. He's a good player, but he can't stay healthy. Yeah. I'm gonna agree, and it's not me being a homer. I just believe in the guy. If he could manage to put it together and stay on the field, whether it's with the Dolphins or another team, I think he could be a very good quarterback in this league. So I'm gonna say slightly underrated. Slightly.
Then we have. See, this is tough. So I'll go with, since the Bills drafted a guy and we really don't know, I'll go with the other one that they signed, A.J. McCarron.
The fact that he's even an NFL quarterback means overrated.
Agreed.
Overrated indeed. And then I'll go with 2 options on this one for the Jets. So we'll leave out Sam Darnold because we're not sure yet. Teddy Bridgewater.
I would say underrated.
Agreed.
Injuries.
Josh McCown.
I think I would even say he's a little bit underrated just because I think he's a decent.
He's a starting quarterback.
Yeah, he's a decent starting quarterback. Now, is he in the back end when you talk about starting quarterbacks in the league? Probably, but I think he's reliable. I think he can produce for your team and keep you and win you some ball games. He's not going to do it on his own, right? He's not going to do it on his own, but I think he's a more than comparable starting quarterback in the league.
So now we go to the AFC West. Well, Patrick Mahomes.
I think it's sort of. Oh my! I don't want to say it, but it's probably he's probably overrated.
I agree.
Even though I love him and I think he's going to be really good, he's not that yet. So I have to say overrated.
Agree.
I think there's, like we had talked about there's not a lot of people talking about Trubisky. People were talking about Mahomes over Trubisky. I feel that there's so much hype around him that, oh, my God, he's a gunslinger. He can throw it a mile. The Kansas City Chiefs are going to be great. You should sit Alex Smith. And we were all guilty of that. I mean, I remember during the season I was saying, oh, my God, sit Alex Smith. See what Patrick Mahomes is, when the Chiefs were really scrambling there.
Mm-hmm.
we don't know what the kid is, but I would say he's more overrated than underrated.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
Derek Carr.
I think he is
Underrated.
Yeah. I think early on he was a little overrated. He was anointed earlier than he should have been.
Agreed with that.
But I think he's a much better quarterback than people are giving him credit for now.
I agree.
Case Keenum.
Ooh,
Overrated.
1, 2, 3. Overrated.
Yeah.
Phillip Rivers.
Underrated.
I'd say underrated too.
I think he's massively underrated. I think he is a fantastic quarterback. For whatever reason, I just don't think they've put enough around him over the course of his career. I know he's had good players, but I don't think he's ever had a complete offense.
He's never had a great coach either.
No, I agree. I love Phillip Rivers. And when it comes, I'll say this. I know it's fantasy sports, but when it comes down to it, if I don't get like the top 1 or 2 or 3 quarterbacks, my go-to is always to just kind of ride it out and take Phillip Rivers, because I know he's going to produce for me. He's a good quarterback, and I thought he played really well last year.
Foolish Demon says McCarron is overrated. TTB Ballin says Teddy Bridgewater is underrated. Foolish Demon agrees. They say McCown underrated. He's a great mentor. And he also says McCown could end up being a great coach if he decides to go into that. I would agree.
Yeah, perfectly. Definitely agree with that.
Brian Eckert says, isn't Pat Mahomes an MLB pitcher? Sixer JT says Mahomes is underrated. Then he says Carr is super overrated. No.
I would agree that early in his career he was anointed way too early.
Yeah, I mean he had a bad year last year, and I think a lot of people have kind of forgotten about him because he had such a bad season. But they had a lot. I mean, they just had a bad season.
Listen,
how
many times have I talked about it on this show since we started in November? I feel like that team massively underachieved last year. I think this year is going to be interesting to see how they are with a new head coach.
And two, we have to remember as well, Derek Carr was the MVP candidate before he got hurt 2 seasons ago, at least in my eyes.
Absolutely.
And then Foolish Demon says Rivers is a legend.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's then go to the AFC North. The Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger.
You know I'm going to say overrated. I'm not a Roethlisberger guy.
That's tough for me, man.
I would say he's appropriately rated.
Yeah, I would probably say appropriate too.
He's a top 5 quarterback in the league. No one's saying he's the best. I think people call that entire team on their antics saying that they have underachieved. I think people call him on his antics when he's being a prima donna like he is right now. But as a talent, I don't think they overrate him. I think they say that he's the second best quarterback in that conference, which he is, in my opinion anyway. And he's a top 5 quarterback, and he has been. So, I mean, that's just me.
Fair point. It's just a preference. I'm just not a Big Ben guy.
I know.
I never have been.
Joe Flacco.
Overrated.
Oh, I mean, people shit all over him at
That's
this point.
true. I would probably say, like, I don't even know.
I would say appropriately rated.
Appropriately rated
because he gets dumped on now, and
he's probably not that.
Yeah.
He's just
Andy Dalton.
overrated because he's still because he's still a starting quarterback in the NFL.
And Tyrod Taylor.
I'd say a little underrated.
I agree.
A little underrated for Tyrod. Doesn't turn the ball over, makes plays with his legs.
And Chrome, Tyrod Taylor.
probably underrated a little bit.
Deshaun Watson.
Underrated.
Yeah. The ceiling is
If you don't consider him to be like the next him, he's top 3 of like the young star quarterbacks.
To me, it's Carson, him, and then everybody else. I would slide Goff in.
Jimmy
under
G,
him.
baby.
Jimmy G. Well,
I go Wentz, Jimmy G, Deshaun.
Yeah.
Marcus Mariota.
Underrated because he's underrated, but deservedly underrated because he hasn't performed to the level that I think he's capable.
Agreed.
I'm not a huge Mariota guy, but I would agree that I think he's underrated as well. I don't think his ceiling's as high as everybody thinks it is, but I think he's a very good quarterback, and I agree with what you said too, as far as where they're at now, and I don't know.
Andrew Luck.
Oh,
That's like
hasn't been on the field in forever.
I was gonna say, can we give an incomplete?
Well, based off of what we've seen from him, okay?
In his career, I'd say he's appropriate. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think he's been a stud when he's healthy.
Yeah, I agree.
And Blake Bortles.
Appropriate because he stinks and people say he stinks.
I would say overrated
I would
because he's
say-
not a starting quarterback.
I
in
would
my
say
eyes.
That's true, too.
I would
That's
say
fair.
overrated because they should have gone out and got a quarterback
You're
this
right.
year, and they
I would like to.
they tied their horses to him.
I
this
would like
year.
to change my response to
Retraction.
yeah, overrated because when I think about that and the fact that they didn't draft a quarterback and that they didn't pursue any in free
They
agency.
didn't get a free agent quarterback. They didn't
No,
even get a
that's right.
project quarterback to develop behind him just in case.
I think they did, but not anybody.
but not anything that you're looking at
Not
like, okay,
anything.
you could clearly see what they're doing here.
I believe they took a quarterback at some point, and it was actually a quarterback I kind of liked, but not. Never mind. I think they took Tanner Lee, who he's a mess.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our list.
Okay. That concludes our list.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised none of us really went like crazy over anything or like, oh, you're a fucking idiot for that. I was expecting
Well, if you
I was
want,
expecting that.
if you want me to trigger an argument, I think Andrew Luck is overrated. I've never been an Andrew Luck guy.
You never gave a Tannehill rating.
No, I think he's underrated because
Okay.
people go around saying he shouldn't be an NFL quarterback. I disagree. I think it hurts him that there was a lot of hype around him coming out of college.
Yeah.
And
no,
I mean, I think he's definitely he hasn't risen to the potential, but he's not a trash quarterback. He just listen. He's in a division with Tom Brady.
it's tough. That's a valid point there. A, he's in a division with Tom Brady, and B, he went to a team that has been absolutely starving and dying for a quarterback since Dan Marino retired in '99. How many quarterbacks have they had? Jay Fiedler, A.J. Feely, Chad Pennington, Cleo Lemon. I mean, there was one point I think they had about 13, 14. Gus Frerotte was a quarterback there. Trent Green was a quarterback there.
Wasn't
Dante
Joey
Culpepper.
Harrington there first, though?
Joey Harrington was a quarterback there.
I always felt bad for Joey Harrington.
Jake Cutler was a
Oh,
quarterback
yeah.
there. He's on that list now.
Foolish Demon is not happy with me. He said BS, Brodo. BS.
With who? Andrew Luck?
Yeah. TTB's on my side. I think the first time tonight he's agreed with me. No, I'm sorry. People were saying he was and listen, his career's not over. Might be, but it's not officially over. People were so ready to crown him out of college, justifiably so, because he was a great college player. Oh, my God, he's going to save Indianapolis. They're going to win multiple Super Bowls with him. How many years before the injury has he been in the league? 5?
4 or 5, yeah.
4 or 5?
It's enough of a sample.
Got to the title game. Cool.
With nothing.
Okay.
With nothing. He took that
Yeah.
team. He carried that team, though.
How did he follow up those years?
The title game, it's just he got hurt.
And people were willing to say now, and this is why I say he's overrated, oh, my God, he's going to come back and they're going to win the division. No. Absolutely not.
That division's going to be really tough this year, so I definitely am not saying that.
No, I'm not saying you guys are. I'm
Yeah.
just saying people on TV, on the radio, people at home, people on Twitter.
Oh,
Andrew Luck's going to make the best return in NFL history. No, probably not. He's probably going to struggle.
I don't care if he comes back and they say he's 150%. That, to me, it's like, I got to wait and say it.
Yeah.
He's a guy who he
Absolutely.
takes a couple big hits. I'm going to hold my breath, too, because I don't know how it's going to go. Like, I'm not confident. And with the way that everything's gone and the question marks over the last 2 years of where is he at, I got to see it. And I got to see enough of a sample size before I'm ready to put him back into that conversation. But I still don't think he's underrated by any means.
Yeah, but like we said,
Or overrated, I mean.
like we said, if we're looking at it as his career, when he is healthy and has played before this injury, that team is nothing without him. Like, talk about most
Agreed.
valuable player. That
Agreed.
team is nothing without
Agreed.
him. They did a terrible job surrounding him. They never gave him an adequate offensive line. They never gave him a running game. He's only had T.Y. Hilton. Who else has he really had as far as weapons go? Reggie Wayne, when his career first started, he had an aging Reggie Wayne, I guess. But, like, he never really had the proper supporting cast. He's never had a defense. Robert Mathis and a bunch of dudes.
Let's see. Sixer JT says, I think – oh, dear God. I don't even want to read this comment. He says, I think a quarterback that is super underrated is Donnell Pumphrey. I guess he's filling the spot of Charles tonight. Thank you, Sixers JT. I appreciate you as always, sir. Here's a question he asks us. He says, "I've got a better." He says, "I've got a question. Who's a better quarterback, Bortles or Jacoby Brissett?"
Jacoby Brissett. I didn't even have to think about that.
I agree.
Didn't even remotely have to think about that.
Look at that. Yeah, the chat agrees. He says, "Foolish Demon." Says, Brissett slightly. JT says,
I'd
go with
slightly.
Brissett.
I'd say easily Brissett.
Brissett can be a starting quarterback.
I think Brissett is a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL.
I do not believe that Blake Bortles is a starting quarterback. I believe he is
Agreed.
a backup quarterback, and he would be a damn good backup quarterback possibly for somebody, not a starting.
That would lead to a great topic later in the summer, and especially if the chat wants us to do it. You know how like a month ago we played like the Who'd You Rather quarterback game with like Nick Foles?
Oh yeah.
Who'd You Rather quarterback game featuring Andrew Luck. There'd be a lot of arguments there.
Maybe we'll throw that in next week.
Oh my God, teaser!
That'll be a second that'll be a second half of the show conversation when we like to throw in our little games. I know we're gonna transition back into Brian Eckert's question, but first, I know you were gonna pull up the lane.
We want to do this?
We did mention the Jay Ajayi thing on here. Obviously, there's an issue right now with Jay Ajayi.
I don't think that's that interesting compared to.
Yeah, we're going to talk Lane. We got two things. The Ajayi incident, I think we're all kind of on the we'll see what happens kind of a deal.
Yep.
Paulie brought up a point. Was it you that brought it up, or was it Tom? It was Tom. That this person who is suing Jay Ajayi has also sued Beyonce in the past for shooting a music video there.
Back in 2010.
Apparently, he did damage to the house. He's, $25,000 he's claiming for damages.
We'll see.
We'll see. It is what it is.
Oh, I'm pulling this up. So
I don't think it's a coincidence that people are starting to go after all these guys now, though.
So here's what. Okay.
So this is Lane Johnson. So
those of you who don't know, Lane Johnson was on Stone Cold Steve Austin's podcast. And first of all, if you haven't listened to it, you got to listen to it because it's just two country boys going back and forth, and it's hilarious.
Real quick thing. This might be breaking news. According to Sixer JT, LeBron is hurt.
But he's on the free throw line.
I see him.
He was down for a minute. Not even. He was down for a second.
He said, maybe they're ahead? He says just walked into the locker room.
Oh, shit. Yeah, they're definitely ahead. Yeah, he was down for a minute, and now it looks like he's going to come off the court.
How is that possible? How are they that far ahead? Oh, he's limping.
Because LeBron and Kyle Korver haven't missed.
All right, I'll take Kawhi. I'll take Kawhi. Paul George?
Oh, man.
There he goes.
But so Stone Cold was on Lane Johnson was on Stone Cold Steve Austin's podcast, and it was hilarious. But some of the quotes, he basically talked shit on the Patriots the whole time.
Quick question. This is when I wish I could hear. Are they cheering because he's able to walk off the floor, or were they clapping because he's walking off the floor?
It's Boston, so they're probably clapping because he was off the floor.
If anybody can hear it, I would like to know if that was a mocking him or because he's actually okay and able to walk off the floor.
He's probably just going to get a retape job here and come back
probably.
out, I would think. Look at his ankle, maybe.
He'll drop
so
40.
Let's run down some of the Lane quotes from the Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast.
So this is great. So this is all from Lane. The way I try to approach the game, I try to approach it fearless. We talk about the Patriots. I got in a lot of trouble running my mouth, but my thinking was they give too much respect to those fucking guys. Everybody is half-ass scared of them, and they're beat before they get on the field. I ain't playing against Tom Brady. I don't give a fuck about him. I know that defensive line ain't going to do shit against us, and that was kind of my approach. I'm out here talking shit to them, but our meeting rooms, I'm telling our guys that. And I think a lot of times before games, a lot of guys are beat mentally. I can tell you that firsthand from my rookie year. You look at guys on paper, size, and speed. That shit don't matter. This is the difference between the Eagles and Patriots. Here's what pissed me off. The Patriots, obviously, I respect their coach. I respect Bill. I respect Tom Brady. But just because they won Super Bowls the Patriot way, is that supposed to be how everyone else is supposed to do the same thing? No, it's not. And that's why I got mad. The arrogance of them. There was obviously some stuff behind closed doors. Their owner talking shit to our owner. Bill talking shit to our head coach before the game. I'm not going to say it, but a lot of shit built up to that, and I just got tired of hearing about it, man, to be honest. I saw a defense that wasn't overly talented. It was all really about containing Tom Brady. We had a hard time doing that. He had 505 yards. That was really it, man. Going into that game, I'm not going to be shell shocked by it. That was kind of our thinking going in. I think we had the upper hand on that. And then he was asked about Malcolm Butler, what he thought happened with Malcolm Butler. He said, "That's the thing. You're never going to know. Whatever they're told to do in the media, they're going to do. Like I said, they're robots. They're told what to do, and if you go out of line, they'll cut your ass."
Dropping bombs.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, it was pretty. That was pretty much it. It was pretty ridiculous.
Well, if that wasn't enough to make you have to go back and listen to it, done.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
probably gonna listen to it tonight when I go home.
Yeah, it was really funny.
Lane dropping bombs. I love Lane.
It was
so
so
much.
good.
Don't you love the swagger of this team though? Like, for real, there's. I don't look at it as any kind of a disrespect whatsoever. It's where's our respect, and I love it. I love it.
Well, here's what's great
I hope
too.
they bring that fire in this season. Don't rest on your laurels this season.
Apparently, people, I'm assuming Boston fans, and some other people gave Lane Johnson shit for this, and he responded to them on Twitter.
Ooh.
Like somebody said, Lane Johnson is classless. You're an O-lineman talking crap about the team you beat in the Super Bowl, and you are still not over any perceived slights that occurred prior to said Super Bowl. Grow up, shut up, and move on. Lane's response, or what? Let's see.
Can
Go
I
for
read one comment from Dion real quick because I literally fell off my chair just reading it. So he's talking about LeBron going to the locker room. And Dion says LeBron leaves the court and walks straight to the locker room. Guys, he doesn't want to be there anymore.
He's walking right to Philly, baby. He's walking right to the airport.
Foolish
Nice.
Demon says the Cavs need Nick Foles immediately.
That's pretty good.
Sixers JT, I guess supplying some self-awareness to all of us, I guess. Talking about when we had asked the question, is Boston cheering because he got up okay or because he's leaving? Well, he said, come on, guys, Philly fans would do the same thing. I can't confirm or deny that, JT. I don't need self-awareness right now. I'm watching LeBron.
Yeah, I don't need self-awareness. either.
Self-awareness is I wouldn't do that.
I wouldn't do it.
So I can't speak for other idiots, but I wouldn't do that.
Good stuff.
But and there is questions. Are we going to talk baseball? We are. Let's get into that question.
Let's begin.
So there was a great question brought up to us by Brian Eckert that he asked, would we rather have LeBron or Bryce? And I said, great question. For you guys out there who are joining us, chime in and don't give me I don't want either stuff. Pick one or the other.
First of all, why would
Or
you not
both.
want either? I was going to say, I'm saying both. I'm not even thinking twice.
I absolutely would take them
Dear
both.
Lord. Do I want the best player in baseball and the best player in basketball? I don't know. Like, what? Come on.
And don't give us both
Grow
either.
up.
Don't say both, chat. You
Yeah.
have to pick
If
one.
you say both, that's the sane answer.
Yes, that's like, okay, you're alive right
To
now.
say
You have
neither,
eyes.
I'm sorry. Neither, though? Neither. Why the hell? Like,
No, that's not my pick.
I was going to say, if someone comes up with that, if someone says neither, they're getting ranted on. It's happening.
JT,
So what
don't you dare.
I'm raining down blows upon them.
So
via,
if I was making a decision, I would say LeBron. And the reason I say LeBron, I believe that I believe baseball is a harder sport to consistently win and repeat, as opposed to it's a long season, 162 games. A lot of factors come into a play when you're talking about a long season like that. If I have a chance to go and get LeBron and make a run for 2 or 3 years, or even just for those 2 years, not only to have a shot to get 2 titles in that run, but have the greatest player mentor my young up-and-coming superstar day in and day out, I absolutely would want that, because not only is it having an immediate impact while he's on the team, but it goes beyond when he plays his tenure here in Philadelphia. So if I'm looking at it that way, I see the possibility of multiple titles with LeBron and a better long-term effect after the fact.
I would agree with you on LeBron, and for a similar, it's the sport. It's because in basketball, one player, especially when it's the best player in the world, can alter the course of your franchise more so than one great baseball player can.
Correct.
And then we're talking long seasons, because in baseball, generally the team that wins 100 and whatever games doesn't win the World Series. It's the hottest team going in. Whereas basketball, it's pretty much the same teams every year. Like, let's be real. It's the Warriors, and it's going to be the Warriors for a long time. And it looks like it's going to be the Celtics for a long time. And I want it to be the Sixers for a long time.
And before the Warriors, it was always the Spurs and the Lakers.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's just when you look at the sports, when you break down the sports, I'd rather have the best basketball player in the world than the best baseball player in the world.
Agreed.
So we have a number of responses. Number one, LeBron. I just got a thing on my phone.
Yeah,
LeBron has returned to the game. So everyone, he'll be fine for next season.
Yeah,
he'll be
he'll be
fine.
good.
We'll be okay.
Guess he had to put that trip to Philly on hold.
Yes. TTP Bowling, to answer the question on Bryce or LeBron, he says Bryce. Let's see. Sixers JT throwing shade at the Redskins fan that always likes to jump in here, Foreman. He says, at least I have self-awareness, unlike the idiot Skins fan that's always in here. Brian Eckert said the Phillies need Bryce more, in my opinion.
I think a fair
That's
argument,
a fair
too,
argument.
is age, just flat out.
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
Bryce Harper's not even in his prime yet. So, I mean, that's a fair way to look at it as well.
Absolutely. And I think it does depend on what you're looking. What do you want out of it?
But that's, another
For me, I want as many titles, and I want to have that I want to have that guy who's going to make my superstar player better going forward.
So more to
But
that point,
I can't disagree with that other point either.
more to that point, though, that the Phillies needed Bryce Harper more than the Sixers made LeBron. The Phillies are further away from winning a championship.
Yes.
The Sixers are a lot closer
And also,
right now.
I'm going to throw in that there's only one LeBron. There's a Bryce Harper.
Manny Machado.
There's a Manny Machado.
I want Manny.
There's a Mike Trout in a couple years if he ends up not staying. Well, my point is, as far as that level of
Right.
player, there's only one LeBron, and then
Yeah.
there's everyone else. There are 3 to 4 guys in the game of baseball that it's really, it's your preference. Who's the greatest player? There's a valid argument for at least 3 of them.
Yeah.
There's no argument against for LeBron and everybody
That's
else.
true. That's a very fair point.
So TTB Ballin, he initially had said he'd rather have Bryce, and he finishes that to kind of make it even make more sense. He says he wants Bryce. That way the Sixers can get Kawhi / Paul George. So it makes sense because he's more of a Kawhi. He's not really a LeBron guy.
Yeah, sure.
So it makes sense for that. And that's true. Listen, like I said, I'm a LeBron guy. I'd rather have LeBron here. But it does make sense saying, okay, we can get Bryce Harper for the Phillies. The Sixers could always get Paul George or Kawhi. But on the other side, like Sixers JT had said, I'd take Machado over both. You can make the argument the Sixers get LeBron so the Phillies could get Machado. You know what I mean? I mean, that's a better option.
I'd rather have LeBron. So there you go. I guess, to pose that question, I'd rather have LeBron and Machado than Harper and Paul George. If we're going to look at it like that.
Kawhi.
/Kawhi.
Well, here, I'll add to it. What would you rather have? Which combination would you rather have? And I'll ask the audience as well. The combination of Harper with Kawhi and Paul George, or Machado and LeBron?
Machado and LeBron. It's not even a question for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be, closer, but I agree.
And, oh, by the way, if you're just looking by need, the Phillies could use a third baseman more than they need an outfielder.
Hey, their third baseman is actually playing pretty well.
Say,
right
but
now.
I'm just saying in
and
terms
their outfielders aren't playing particularly well
Except
right now.
for Odubel.
Odubel. And Hoskins is Hoskins, but then their right field situation is – Alterra's been picking it up. And Nick Williams apparently is going to be a pinch hitter for the rest of his career.
I've had enough.
I'd rather see Nick Williams play every day.
Let's see.
I like both, but
Or like a true platoon at least.
Yeah, a true platoon would be nice. Not just playing one guy for 10 days and then another guy for 2.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't really care for that.
Altair finally hit 200, though.
Yeah.
Hit the 200 mark.
He's been hitting, though. You got to give the guy credit. He's been hitting lately.
Foolish Demon says, I'm not a Phillies fan, and LeBron is the GOAT, so LeBron over Bryce, in his opinion.
Fair enough.
Sixers JT says, LeBron is the GOAT. I just don't think he's the answer to this team.
See, I can't. This is the like arguably I'm not gonna have one of these LeBron Michael Jordan discussions right now because that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But you can make the argument that this guy is the greatest basketball player to ever walk the earth. Why the hell would you not want him? Fit, dude. He can fit anywhere. Literally on any team in NBA history, this guy can fit.
Whether you disagree and think Jordan is the guy. The fact that there's only 2 guys in the conversation alone.
And this guy is a free agent coming off his best season, and you can get him. Like, all it's going to cost you is money. It's not going to cost you any assets.
This isn't Michael Jordan going to the Wizards. This is LeBron still producing. Come on.
I'll add these 2 comments by Sixers JT, okay?
Are they going to upset me?
They've upset me, so they're not.
So probably.
And we love you, Sixers JT. We do it every week. We're going to do it every week.
I love all you guys, but
until
my God,
LeBron comes here.
We
and
love
then
Sixers JT.
We're going to be doing this with Sixers JT and all these guys every week until LeBron comes here, and they won't have a choice.
Yes.
So,
deal with it. I can't believe I have to say that, but the greatest player of all time is coming here. Deal with it.
Yeah, deal with having the best player in the world in numerous parades.
My God.
Be able to sleep at night, kids.
Yeah.
He says, I'll save the last one for last because I think he loses his argument every time he says this. But he says, notice LeBron only looks dominant when the rest of his team is utter garbage. LeBron doesn't even fit our system and will disrupt the chemistry.
Oh, my God.
There's so much wrongful information in that, Sixers JT. He's dominant whenever he plays. There's no such thing as fit anymore in the NBA. It's the most talented players that are on the court.
So, wait, when he played with
my head's going to explode.
When he played with when he played with Kyrie, he didn't look dominant.
He won 2 championships with
when he played with Wade and
Chris
Bosh.
Bosh.
He didn't look
What
dominant.
are you talking about? He just won the last series. Kevin Love awoke from the dead and finally remembered how to play basketball in that last series. And LeBron dominated.
My God. The last time he won a championship and he yelled, Cleveland, this is for you. He didn't look dominant.
And fit. Come on, dude. How does he not fit? It doesn't make any sense. How does he not fit?
He says he didn't put up these numbers when he was in his prime with Miami because Wade and Bosh were there too.
But he still dominated.
Championships.
Yes, he still dominated.
Wait, so the concern.
It's not numbers. It's not numbers.
Listen.
Oh my God, I can't even do this.
It's not just numbers. It's how you change the game.
Yes.
The argument has always been he's going to come here and be a ball hog. Did he not go to Miami and distribute the ball to Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh and be an unselfish player? Oh, by the way, to guys like Mike Miller who are out on the fucking wing dropping threes for league minimum contracts. Come on.
Can I find a contradiction in the fan base right now? Okay. Because you just brought up something for me. Thank you, Crump.
You brought up Miami. That's everything. People say he won't be here. He was there and won titles.
When you talk about ball distributor, okay, and we have one of our own. His name is Ben Simmons.
He's pretty good.
People say he's dominant, right? And what does he do the best? Distribute the ball. So that doesn't stop people from saying he's dominant. But when LeBron does the same thing but better for longer, he's not dominant. He has other guys around him. It's the same thing but 2 different players because you like one and you dislike the other.
And when we talk about fit, right? You're looking at it so close-minded to say that LeBron and Ben Simmons can't fit together. I've never known a team that has these guys they both have good court vision and they both pass the ball really well and they both move really well with the basketball. They can't possibly play together. What? How does that make any sense? You have multiple all of a sudden you're putting, again, let's say you still have a Dario Saric. You're putting guys with elite court vision all together. That's not a bad thing. That's an amazing thing. It's what you want. They want to play with pace and space. Could you imagine Ben Simmons and LeBron James coming at you in the open floor? How the hell do you stop that?
So he says, I'm not saying LeBron won't change this team and help us. All I'm saying is that we don't need him to win. We can win without him. Develop our players.
No.
Without bringing in LeBron, who will make it the LeBron show. He said
How
earlier
much
as well.
You want to wait?
Go ahead.
No. Again, we talked about it earlier. Look at Boston. I don't care what they're doing right this second. They're not winning a championship as they are. They went out, built that core, and got a Kyrie Irving, and they got a Hayward. That's
those guys are locked up. You're going to have to deal with Gordon Hayward and Kyrie Irving for the next 6 or 7 years.
And
Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. At what point do you want to compete? At what point do you want to say, I want to compete with these guys? You're basically, if you don't go out and get a LeBron or get Paul George or get Kawhi Leonard, you're basically saying, let's let it play out for a couple more years and let these guys develop.
So what will happen is
makes no sense.
We'll have a team that has 2 stars and a bunch of role players, and we'll continue to middle between the 4 and 6 and 7 seed.
Get eliminated by Boston every year.
Which the idea of the process was to not be those teams that, you make the playoffs every year and you make it to the first, maybe the second round, and then you get eliminated. We dealt with that in the early and mid-2000s.
Yeah, thanks, Doug Collins.
Frequently. No, you go out, you bring in young players to build your core, and then you add. It's like baseball. What do winning teams do? What did the Astros do? They went out. They got a George Springer, a Dallas Keuchel, Carlos Correa. Altuve. They built their core from within. What got them over the top? Going out and getting guys, whether it's big-name guys or middle veteran guys to make those young guys better. Carlos Beltran, Brian McCann, Justin Verlander, who was a huge acquisition to help get them over the hump. Oh, by the way, they went out this year and got Garrett Cole.
Yeah.
Like, every sport, you need to make additions. What did the Eagles do this year? They went out and got Jay Ajayi. They didn't sit on their ass and say, okay, we're going to run with Smallwood because he has potential, and we're going to throw Corey Clement out because he's shown us a thing for a few games. No, they went out and said, we have an opportunity here to win.
You put it perfectly. They saw the opportunity. They saw, hey, this team is special. We've got something here. We have a chance to acquire another special player. Let's go for it and try to go for the whole damn thing. That's what they're doing. That's what you want to do with the Sixers. This is a special team. You have 2 very special players. Why would you not want to add another special player or 2 to take this to the next level?
So we look at the Sixers and we say, the Eagles, and we've said it. Carson Wentz, we knew we were going to win a title at some point with Carson Wentz. But the Eagles saw the opportunity and said, go and get an Alshon Jeffrey. Let me go and get a Jay Ajayi or a LeGarrette Blount. What did they do? They had young guys, young core in place, both on the offensive and defensive side. But you have to go out and add veterans. And I'm not even middle veterans, but then guys who are number 1 wide receivers, guys who have gone there and won titles before. And, oh, by the way, if LeBron signs a 2-year deal here, guess what? He leaves after 2 years, and you still have Joel Embiid and still have Ben Simmons in place and can continue to succeed going forward. And, oh, by the way, again, 2 years down the road when Ben's working with LeBron every day and he learns how to shoot a jump shot with a defender on him, well, in period, with anybody – you're in a better place. He's leaving the team and the best player on your team in a better place to go forward and continue to win. How do you not like that idea?
So there's a lot to cover on YouTube. And, well, number one, JT is saying he says he's all for Paul George. He fits the team, won't disrupt the chemistry. So Sixers JT isn't saying he wouldn't want any of them. He's just saying he doesn't want LeBron.
But if you can have one, why would you not want the other? He's not going to disrupt any chemistry.
I don't. To say he would disrupt the chemistry is this is Sixers JT, right?
Yes.
Dude, you're here all the time and you make really good points. But man, I don't understand how in the world Joel Embiid wants him here. Ben Simmons clearly wants him here.
They all want him.
They all want him here. So what chemistry would he ruin? Why would he? And, where is he gone? Show me an example of him going to a team and ruining the chemistry. Show me where that's happened. He went to Miami. They won championships. He went to Cleveland. They won a championship for the first time in forever.
Teams with ruined chemistry don't make it to championships. They don't continue to win and have 6 straight NBA Finals appearances. That's guys that go in and ruin chemistries, that's the guys. I'm sorry, people love Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson got moved from Philadelphia and ruined chemistry all over the fucking place.
Yes, he did.
He went to Detroit. He went to the Denver Nuggets. He did nothing with any of them. And if anything, it's been said he was a locker room issue. And how many times did he get moved on because of that? He went to what?
Memphis,
and he played?
Seven
or 8 games there, and he was out of the league.
Yeah, well, he went back to the Sixers, and then he was
right.
out of
But
the league.
that you don't win if the chemistry is gone or it's distraught. I don't get it. I don't understand the argument that he disrupts chemistry. If anything, those teams had a chemistry that he came in and enhanced and strengthened.
I got to read this one thing. And I'll read this one thing. You guys respond, and there's 1,000 comments that are – so I got to catch up on them. JT says his first year in Miami, he lost because their chemistry was awful.
No.
Number one.
They made it to the finals.
Number one.
Jesus.
No.
I'll take the finals.
Exactly. Number one, the answer to that statement, JT, no. 2, even if that argument was true, that's their chemistry. Just because, and again, this is an unrelated other world that did not happen because they went to the finals. They didn't suck. Oh, my God, LeBron and Wade and Bosh didn't win their first year. Oh, my God, call the fire department. Call everything. It's a disaster. No. Just because there's situations on other teams that may or may not work. Every situation is different. And for those who think that LeBron James destroys organizations, number one, that is so blown out of proportion because he's only gone to one other organization. He's not gone to 7.
Fake. Hashtag fake news.
2, let's talk about the real reason why the Heat went down. Dwayne Wade was no longer in his prime. Chris Bosh, unfortunately, that ended up being a disaster with his health. That didn't work, okay? 2, you know why Cleveland went downhill after LeBron went? It's the reason why he left. There was no one else there. There was no reason for him to stay. If he came here, if he came to Philadelphia, and he left after 2 years, guess who is still here? You guys just said it. Embiid, Simmons, the following.
Let me tell you who ruined the chemistry his first time there in Cleveland. It was Dan Gilbert, the owner, who ruined the chemistry that you have with your superstar player and sabotaged his own organization. Not the player, the owner did. And it has been well documented, his issues as far as overstepping his bounds as an owner. That's who ruined the chemistry in Cleveland the first time. Now, we all hated the decision. I think it's fair to say that. That was a poor choice. Okay, cool. That shit was 8 years ago. He's been nothing but a model player and a model guy since then. All right? Does he sometimes complain on the court? All the greatest did. Watch Michael Jordan games.
Does.
Michael Jordan did nothing but bitch every game. And he got every call because he did it.
Yes.
Because he was Michael Jordan. Karl Malone, they all did it. The only one who didn't was Shaq because he just fucking crushed everybody.
Because if anything, everyone else had to
TTP, and I'm going to go through all these comments, but he says, are we just going to forget that Dirk is arguably a top 15 greatest player of all time and also was only his first appearance with a decent team?
And Tyson Chandler was a difference maker because the matchup that screwed them in that series was Tyson Chandler because they didn't have a big to control the inside game.
Which is why they tried to get Greg Oden's corpse to do it.
So, listen, you watched it with us. We have the big, but for whatever reason, they didn't play inside. So you know what happens when shots aren't falling? When they're playing perimeter defense and you're not getting inside? You're taking a whole element of the game out. And there was a complete mismatch. So that's why you lost. They had the bigs down low, and they had one of the greatest, absolute greatest players in the history of the NBA.
At his prime.
In his prime.
So there's two things. So
when a team that had chemistry.
Yeah.
And, oh, by the way, that team went out and got a Tyson Chandler to get themselves over the top.
It was more than that, too. I mean, I don't remember that roster
they had
off the top of my head. But it's not like that team was filled with a bunch of slouches. Like, it was a good team, that Mavericks team.
Pete Stoyanovich might have been on that team, dropping threes.
When Sixers JT had said
J.J. Barea was very good on that team.
If he came here, it would be the LeBron show. TTP makes a great point, and we all agree with it. It's that when LeBron went to Miami, was it called the LeBron show or was it called the Big Three?
It was called the Big Three.
You know what's going to happen? We know what people are going to call it? And I just came up with it. Just popped in my head. Look at that. Just pop in my head. And it works, too. You know what people are going to call it when LeBron comes here? Not the LeBron show. Not the Big Four or Big Three or whatever you want to call it. They're going to call it process complete. Because that's what it is.
Oh, by the way, Jason Kidd was on that team. Poo-poo, Hall of Famer,
Another
no big
Hall of
deal.
Fame player.
I just watched the highlights
Jason
that
Terry.
series the other night.
Dude, that team,
Was
Jason
stacked.
Kidd, Jason Terry, Dirk Nowitzki, Sean Marion, who was really good at that point, Tyson Chandler, J.J. Barea, Brendan Haywood, who was like solid, like he did what he did. Karan Butler was on that team. Deshaun Stevenson. Oh, man, remember Brian Cardinal?
Oh, God, he was
on that
yeah.
team. But I mean, that team was good. It wasn't like they were playing some third-rate team. They were playing a really good team.
So JT had said one thing. Remember
that
I
was
said
a very well built team.
Yes.
Remember when I said earlier, and it seems like it was an hour ago, but it seems like he had said two things. One that would set you guys off, one that set me off. And I said it loses his argument every time he says this. So let me find it real quick because there's 1,000. I gotta scroll through real quick. He says the following. All right. He says the Sixers in 3 years will be a championship contender without LeBron. And JT, I love you, man. Why are we talking about 3
years from
years
now?
away? And like TTB Bolin has said, dude, we're not saying, like, TTB Bolin is a guy who says he'd rather have Kawhi and Paul George. But he said at the end of the day, hey, if LeBron comes here, no one can say we're a worse team. He knows they're a better fit. If LeBron comes here, we're an instant contender for a championship.
So we're going to wait 10 years to even have a sniff of being a championship team. Well, really, it's even longer than that since 2011 or 2001. We want to wait that long just to even have a sniff, which, oh, by the way, Boston's still going to be completely fucking stacked at that point to where you're still competing against them. When we can have LeBron now, oh, and also, not only do we have to sign Ben at that same time, but now you're running on the last 2 years, I believe, of Embiid's contract. Right? Didn't he sign an or maybe it's 3 years?
I think Embiid's was like 5 years.
Yeah, I thought it was 5.
Beyond this year, right?
Yeah.
So you're talking the last 3 years of his contract.
Can I go back to one thing as well? When
yes,
we were talking about...
and I'm not putting any bad juju on anything, but let's not forget the injury history of some of these guys. Who's to say 3 years from now that doesn't creep back up and become a chronic issue? You have a chance to win now while these guys are healthy.
Right now.
These guys are running on young legs. Why do we want to let them get 3 years older? The only one
and wasting it. Like you're wasting
these
guys being good.
I will tell you
no
right
sense.
now, if these guys were sitting on the couch, they don't want to waste the young or prime years of their career waiting to have a sniff of a championship contending team when LeBron could stand next to them and get them there now.
No, I agree. And the one thing I'll say, going back to, when people were saying they want to trade for Kawhi, and that's like their number one option, we have to remember something as well, guys. Yeah, it would be great if we had a 2K roster with LeBron and Kawhi and Simmons and Embiid and so on. We have to remember things as well. I don't want to trade all of these guys away because there's a thing of having a healthy bench.
Yeah.
There's having depth as well. And if you put all of your stock into your starting five and for the rest you're saying, we'll figure it out, because we're no longer going to have a Fultz coming as your backup point guard, for example, or you're going to have Dario coming off the bench. You know what I mean? Et cetera, et cetera. I can move on from that to where, sure, Kawhi being here, that's great for our starting lineup. Fantastic. We have to worry about depth here,
Take a hit
okay?
on your depth.
But I think like what Chrome was saying earlier, like you're going to have guys who are going to be like,
Who will fill those
they're going to
roles?
want to follow LeBron if that happens.
Yeah, I understand.
And
that.
not just
and not only
LeBron,
that,
'cause
here's
I
the thing
think-
too. So all this, I don't want to get. we're not getting into
No,
the Covington
just
thing,
can-
but
right.
Covington now becomes a bench player.
Yes.
And as a bench player, very effective.
He's
and
a
he won't
very
play.
effective
He
player.
won't play a ton of minutes because you have two of the best wing players in the NBA. So he's not going to get a ton of run. He'll just play some spot minutes. You're still got to. I still like Furkan Korkmaz, and I still think that kid can shoot a little bit. Go ahead. You're going to talk.
Well, no, I was going to say.
Jonah Bolden as well. I mean, you're going to have guys.
And not only that, people will follow LeBron. And then when they have the opportunity to play with LeBron, and if Ben does develop that shot, you don't think that people are going to see that Ben is the next coming, and then guys will be willing to take less money to play with guys like Embiid and Ben to take another run at a title.
Yeah.
Like,
It's just what it does too. It's a status thing. Like LeBron chose the Sixers. You know what I mean? Like that's a big deal. Other guys around the league see this and say, "Oh shit!" Like if we weren't already paying attention to the Sixers, LeBron signed there. Like we really need to pay attention.
absolutely fantastic point, because another part of the process was to make Philadelphia a destination for free agents to want to come, because for years we were a last resort or bottom of the barrel option. They didn't want to make it to where we're a middling team like we've been for years. They wanted to make it so this was a destination for years to come, like a San Antonio Spurs, like, for all intents and purposes, a Lakers team, to where one of the deepest tradition teams in the league is back. And people always look at that too. That's why, as shitty as they are, people still talk about the Knicks. The league's always better when the Knicks, the Celtics, the Lakers, all these original teams from the NBA or early years are better. So now you have the rise of all those teams I mentioned, plus the Sixers. It puts us back in that prestigious talk again. And then after LeBron's gone, guess what? Sixers still got Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. So whoever's a free agent by 3 years from now, they got a shot at going out and getting the next guy to fill in that role. I did laugh at his comments, Sixers JT.
Where it said, I guess it's safe to say
I
I just don't like LeBron.
Yeah.
Again, you have self-awareness, JT. This is one of the many reasons why
That's
I like
what- and
you.
that's-
Yeah, we love you, buddy.
Yeah, and dude, and exactly. Like don't get it's
I love how he
Yeah.
lets us. I hope he enjoys it. How we
Yeah.
go
Oh, I
back
know.
and forth
If-
with him all the
Yeah,
time.
no, it's all
he
love.
wouldn't come back. If he
Yeah,
didn't, he wouldn't come
it's
back.
all love, dude.
I
But
love it,
yeah, but
brother.
it's just very clear that
I
you just
appreciate
don't like
like
LeBron.
LeBron, yeah.
And that's fine. You don't like him, but you have to accept the fact that he's arguably the greatest basketball player of all time.
I want to answer the
And-
question of Dion really quick because he had asked us. He had said, guys, I'm pretty sure I missed it and tuned in a bit late over here on YouTube. He said he had to take a beer run. But he
Sure.
said, what lawsuit is attached to Ajayi?
Apparently he a few days or a week or 2 weeks after the Super Bowl, he rented a mansion and apparently did like $25,000 worth of damage between parties that he supposedly wasn't supposed to be having. And
It's
I don't-
nothing.
Yes.
it's ridiculous. And
He'll probably settle out of court. It'll be over
and
with.
the
that'll be
backstory
it.
with it too is this is the same mansion, the same owner also sued Beyonce, who when he rented it out to her and let her shoot a music video there. So there's a history with this guy who seems to be very. It's almost like casting a net to bring him in to
Yeah.
get Sue happy.
I'll elaborate really quickly for Dion just a little bit more of that. So basically, like you said, Chrome, around the time right after the Super Bowl, he was staying out in L.A. He rented this, house, this mansion, and basically what happened was he allegedly trashed the place, and the homeowner gave him like a $5,000, not fine, but he had to pay it for like damages. He didn't do it, so they upped it to $25,000. And then the homeowner accused him of maliciously, like, not attacking him, but pushing him, basically getting in an altercation with him. But like you had said, Chrome, I'm not calling the guy Sue happy, but he did it to Beyonce back in 2010 for shooting a music video. So, like we had said earlier, we'll just wait and see.
Yeah,
So
I
that's the
think
only
it's
thing.
going to be one of those things that's.
It'll blow over.
I do
Yeah.
want to read the one comment Dion had earlier. It was Eagles related.
Okay.
It was a great one. He says, guys, quick Eagles note. Any plans on going out to see the Brian Dawkins / T.O. speech live, I'm guessing for the Hall of Fame? He says, my fiance already purchased our tickets back in January, early birthday present.
Nice.
From my
Yeah,
and then he says that's why I'm marrying her.
Yeah, love it. That's
he
awesome.
says
You
even though
did
she's
good, brother. You did good.
he says even though she's an effing Giants fan, oh trust me, game days I don't even know her. We don't speak. Hashtag facts.
That's all right. Just channel that aggression the right way.
Yeah.
Put on that Dion #1 jersey and do your thing.
Oh shit.
No, that's cool, man. And do give us a report back from it too. I'd love to hear what that experience is like in person. He also put on here, I believe it was him, in talking about the. Wait, hold on. Where's it at? We were
Got a lot of
talking-
dead air, Crum. Sorry.
Here it is. Oh, it was Foolish Demon. Foolish Demon said, "Remember when LeBron and the Heat destroyed Westbrook, Durant, and Harden at Baca 2?
I do. I remember that quite well. God damn it, this game's tied.
Oh, I got a thing on my phone, by the way. It says, this just in via ESPN. LeBron suffered strained neck after second quarter collisions with Jason Tatum.
He's still got 37 and 5, and there's still 6.5 minutes left in the third.
Put some ice on that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he'll be all right. He'll work it out.
I'll tell you what, his press conference is going to be riveting. 'Cause it's
Oh,
all going to be
sure.
about the injury, and he's never really had to talk about injuries
sure.
with him. It's going to be like 14 years in the making.
Oh, for sure.
All he's going to do is say he's fine.
So, some quick baseball talk. Let's talk baseball.
Let's.
We never get to because Charles is a shithead and ruins it for us. Totally kidding. We
Or
know you
these
love
guys
Charles.
talk about Sixers and we go crazy.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Every time we do have it on the docket, we never get to
Well,
it.
it's funny. This entire time I've had it because we were starting the MLB talk. When we were going crazy, in bold it still says MLB talk on the quota. Sorry, guys.
So we kind of touch. We talk some Harper, Machado, potential future targets. Let's get into right now. I mean, I know you're a Phillies guy, so how do you feel about the way the first month and a month and a half's gone? What are they? Are they number 5 in the NL? I think somebody posted in here.
Yeah, I mean, they're 1.5 games, I think, back of the lead, of the NL East lead, I believe. I mean,
I think
it's
we're one game now.
Is it one
I
game?
think we're one game out of first.
Their pitching is phenomenal.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like,
Their
so
starting
far,
Surprising.
their starting pitch has
starting
been
pitching.
sensational, and it's carried them because their offense really hasn't been, other than Odubel being unbelievable. Really, outside of him, no one really stands out. Santana's got really hot over the last week or so.
Which I think we all kind of felt was going to happen
he's just
at some point.
notorious slow
Guy's a pro,
starter.
man. You knew it was going to turn around.
We
at
talked
some
about
point.
Franco's actually had a decent start. He's been all right. They're getting really not much out of right field, although Altair's been better. And Nick Williams is the greatest pinch hitter in baseball apparently right now. Alfaro's starting to play a little bit. He's starting to come around. I saw he threw out a runner over the weekend, and the throw he made was the hardest thrown ball from a catcher to second base since StatCast started recording
That's
throwing
crazy.
balls.
Yeah, I did hear that.
He's got a cannon, that kid.
Yeah, we
And
posted that.
and when he hits the ball, it goes a mile.
Mhm.
He is just pure power. If he learns how to harness that, unlimited potential on this kid. But they're starting pitching. I mean, Aaron Nola, it's unreal how this kid. He's a legitimate Cy Young candidate. Right
Yeah,
now.
it's crazy because I looked at Nola and I mean I thought he would be a good pitcher. I looked at him and probably projected him to be more of a top end number 3.
Yeah, most people
Man,
did.
He looks like
He's
like
a
the real
friggin'
deal.
ace.
If you look at what he built on last year and coming into this season, it's tough, man. And imagine, I mean, there's been talks that they were interested in bringing Cole back.
I've seen that, and it wouldn't surprise me.
That
It
would
would make
be-
a lot of sense.
I 100% believe at some point Cole's going to come back here, whether it's through a free agency
Yeah.
towards the end of his deal, or I could see the Phillies trading for him. And
I
man,
can see the if they're
how
still in
beautiful-
it. If
how-
they're still in it at the trade deadline, absolutely
how
they should make a play for
beautiful
him.
would he slot in that number 3 spot
Beautiful.
right behind Arrieta.
Beautiful. And right now, dude, what I love when I watch Arrieta and when I watch Nola, they're similar in this. They both throw strikes, and their movement is bonkers. That just their fastball, their movement on the fastball for both of them. I don't know how you hit it. When it's coming at you 94, 95, even like Nola, it's more like 93, 92, 93. But it just cuts. It moves more than some guys' breaking pitches. Like, it's unbelievable. And the fact that he can put it wherever the hell he wants. He developed his changeup now. That's what it is too. He's just now he knows he's still a contact pitcher, but when he has to strike a guy out, he can bury that changeup and put guys away. And he never had that before. Now he's developing that. He's becoming like it's been really cool to see him develop from, like you said, Crum, a guy who everyone, that wasn't just you, everyone kind of viewed him as, oh, they took him because he's safe, because he's going to be a solid number 3 starter. Oh, no. He looks like he could carry a staff.
Yeah.
He looks that good.
Yeah.
And he's still Very young.
Yeah.
I'll give you guys a 3-part question, okay, or 3 questions in one. Give me, for the Philadelphia Phillies, your most surprising, your most impressed, your most disappointing.
Most surprising, most impressed, most disappointing. So I would say surprised would probably be the 2 guys at the bottom of the rotation. Pivetta and Velasquez have both been pretty damn good.
Could I say Franco in there as well?
Yeah, I think Franco's
Franco would be my guy.
He's been solid. And then I would say impressed. I mean, Odubel. I mean, it's not even close.
Yep.
Odubel and Nola. I mean, they've been ridiculous together. Like I said, it's you. As of right now, I mean, it's really early. But as of right now, you have a legitimate Cy Young candidate and a legitimate MVP candidate on your team. It's it's insane. And then most disappointing. There's a lot of guys I'd kind of lump into there. I mean, a big one. I mean, Hector Neris.
Hector Neris was mine. Yep.
Killing him. But the good thing about that is, as much as Hector Neris has not been good, they have a lot of really good arms in that bullpen that look like they have closer. Look, they used Ramos the other night. He closed the damn door. They have Sir Anthony Dominguez, who looks like a stud in the making. They have Tommy Hunter. They have Neshek. They have guys. They have even Luis Garcia. They have guys that have the stuff and the mindset to close games. So it's not like they just have to rely on Neris, and they've already proven that. Yeah, that lightning is Thunder is something.
Thunder, yeah.
That's something serious right now.
Thunder's
but
not happy with Hector Neris.
And then the other guy I would say has been disappointing. A big one would be now he's hurt is J.P. Crawford.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I think for me it's Neris a little bit more, but that's a valid point. Franco would probably be my most surprising. I don't know. I still am not sold that he's going to maintain this kind of a level.
No, it's fair to not feel that.
Hey,
way.
and listen, if you're trying to look at him as an asset that could be moved at some point too, he's only building his stock. I came into this season and I felt like the pitching to me, the starting pitching, I agree, is very surprising as well, from top to bottom. I knew the top 2 were going to be very good.
Sure.
But I agree the back end of the staff has been much better than I thought they were going to be. What wasn't surprising to me, but I'm very happy to see, I knew coming in exactly what their strategy was with building that bullpen. And it was to have that security that, A, if your starting staff beyond Nola and Arrieta did what happened a lot last year, can't get through 4 or 5 innings, you have enough arms in there, quality arms, young and veterans, who can carry the load, whether it's long relief, whether it's playing the short game, what we saw when he used like 14 pitchers at one point.
I hope he doesn't do that shit again.
No, well, it seems like he learned his lesson.
JT said, talking about the Thunder,
yeah.
He says, I can hear it too, guys, at Jefferson Station right now waiting.
But yeah, I think that was a huge strength that they focused on in the offseason, and it's paying off right now. And now I thought it was going to be to complement the pitching staff, or it seems like you said it's more of now they're uplifting Neris in the back end. So I hope he gets it together, because you know how closers are. It only takes a little bit of a stretch, and it gets in their head. A lot of them, it's between the ears.
I always thought, though, too, so Neris' best season was when he was the setup man, though.
Yeah.
He was lights out, and he was phenomenal in that season. So maybe he's just not. Maybe that's just and he's been effective at times as the closer, but maybe that's just not his deal. Like maybe he's just not. Then maybe they have, like I said, they have guys like. I think Dominguez is the guy who eventually is going to take that role over, and he might take that role over for good at some point. But he's a pup. He's a baby. Like he's got to develop a little bit. They don't want to. I get it. They don't want to just throw him in there. But man, he's been phenomenal so far.
When you think about it too, because I just had this conversation this weekend because we were watching Neris blow the game this weekend. When you think about it, and you talk about that 2 or 3 year window for the majority of closers, you look at a guy like a Mariano Rivera now, and it just makes you appreciate it so much.
All those guys, Trevor Hoffman's, the Billy Wagner's.
Rivera could throw 3 or 4 quality pitchers. They always talked about how good his other pitches were. He threw 1 pitch, threw it phenomenally, better than anybody's ever thrown a cutter, and you knew it was coming, and you still couldn't touch it. And he always kept it between the ears. Even the times where the few times he did blow it in a big spot, people come unraveled. I mean, how long did it take Brad Lidge to get it back together when he gave up that Pujols home run? Even though they won that series, he shit the bed again in the World Series.
Yeah.
He became, it was like a paper guy out there.
Yeah.
But you turned around and he got it. And I just think about guys like that. And you mentioned a lot of really great names.
Yeah.
Man, the mental makeup it takes to be a closer for long term is crazy. And that's also why I think it's crazy that they give these relievers these insane contracts because.
Well, yeah, I think it was smart by what the Phillies did too. You brought it up as well. They have a nice mix right now of veterans not signed to long deals and young guys, and that's what you need. I think you need to have veterans that are almost like insurance policies in case the young guys falter.
Yeah. No.
Go
ahead.
No, go ahead.
I have a question, but I'll let.
Oh yeah, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I know we're going to wrap up soon, so I'm going to end it with this question. Did you want to contribute?
No. I had a random question, but I'll save it for next week. It's fine.
Okay. Is it baseball related?
No.
Okay. I was going to say because we ain't getting it in then.
Yeah.
Now with Charles on the couch. Biggest surprise in baseball team-wise, success right now, and biggest disappointment. I know you've other than the Phillies, because of everything going on with the Sixers in the draft, you haven't been able to follow as closely.
As closely as one of them obviously would be, even though they teetered off a little bit, would be the Braves. The Braves are certainly a surprise. No one expected them to be doing what they're doing right now.
Yeah.
There was another team.
I'm going to give 3 teams, and it's not me being a homer. I'm going to just throw the Cardinals in because I honestly thought they were going to be 4th in the division, and they have maintained a very high level despite the ridiculous bullpen decisions that Mike Matheny makes and lineup decisions. Oh, I hate him. Fire him. Pittsburgh has been very surprising to this point.
Yeah, I can one that actually did come across my radar that I was looking at. The Diamondbacks, and I think it's sustainable. Yeah. I think they have a good because they're not even getting everything. Greinke's off to a slow start. Like they're not even getting everything they could be getting.
Well, it's crazy. You said the Diamondbacks because they've lost 6 in a row, and
but
they still have a 2-game lead in that division.
Yeah,
I have one. So
Atlanta is my other one. I agree.
Atlanta's ridiculous. Yeah, right now.
I'll go with the Mets. I mean, they stink.
They
freaking stink.
Yeah, they are bad.
And I didn't expect them to win the division. I expected the Nationals to, but good Lord. I mean, the Mets, I'll say it again. They freaking stink.
Yep.
They do.
My surprise of how I thought they were going to be much better to this point is the Giants. I liked a lot of the moves that the Giants made, even though they bought in some aging veterans.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, you look at it like an Evan Longoria who had a very tough first month, but he's been turning it on as of late. I'm surprised, though. I really thought the Giants were going to compete a little bit more in that division.
You see who went down for them as well. That's the other thing as well.
Who was that?
Didn't Bumgarner go down?
Well, he's been down.
Well, that's my point. So, I mean, you don't have him to capitalize on.
But despite him being out, I thought
their
moves was enough.
Okay.
So I'm a little surprised because it's not even necessarily totally with their record, but the acquisitions they made have not made an impact, in my opinion. So I'm a little bit surprised with that.
So I'm just to go back to the Diamondbacks.
Yankees have been insane, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. To the Diamondbacks, Paul Goldschmidt is hitting .211 right now, and they're in first place.
I know.
So you got that. Paul Goldschmidt's hitting .211. Zach Greinke's ERA is 3.70, and they're in first place.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So I mean, there's, it's tough. Walker's out and Robbie Ray's out right now, but
and all that money given to Eric Hosmer. Look how good San Diego's doing.
So another
Hosmer's actually not playing bad poorly. I don't think he hasn't been that bad, but no,
not for the money they gave.
No, they gave him way too much money. They gave him absolute stud.
That's one of the worst contracts I've ever seen in my life.
But here's what I'll tell you selfishly why I'm really glad that the Padres are terrible because I'm going to San Diego and I really want to go to Petco Park.
Oh,
and the tickets will probably be
you
really
get them
cheap.
for dirt cheap.
They're playing the A's when I'm there. So.
A bit of a news story that just came across my phone. If you are a Phillies fan or you're going to stay up and wait for the Phillies to resume play.
Oh God.
Bad news for you. The game has been postponed / rained out. The game has been rescheduled for July 12th.
There you go.
So they got 2 doubleheaders coming.
Yeah, so that way you guys don't have to stay up late and wait for that. It's done.
I thought you were going to say that it was coming back at 10:45.
Yeah. No,
First pitch at 10:45.
Paulie, thanks for joining us again this week.
Of course,
buddy.
man.
Ryan, thanks for doing a good job, pal.
You're always stuck with me.
You're always the bro. No. I know. I got you Thursday nights as well, which I appreciate. Guys, great stuff here on A2D Radio. Obviously, tonight, Birds of a Feather. Tomorrow, The Fix.
Yes, sir.
Agreed. AM and the PM. Thursday, Lazy Booking. Hockey Happy Hour. Those guys are freaking slaying it, especially during the playoffs.
It's here.
Off on Fridays, off on Saturdays. Sundays, agree to disagree. I'm trying to run it all down. The music is just so soothing. It's like relaxing my brain. Mondays, we have Sports Hounds. So, guys, join us. Get into all the chats. If you joined us tonight, man, fiery talk tonight. We appreciated it on Facebook, on Periscope, on YouTube. Obviously, our sponsors, Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountant, make them yours. Thank you, StreamSmart. Thank you, Scanzano Sports, as always, for sponsoring all of our poll questions here. Live from the BMW of Atlantic City Studios, BMWAtlanticCity.com. Guys, it's been an awesome week. We'll see you next week. Chucks will be back. Have a good one.